go. Here it is. What's happened? That's me. Hold on one second. There I am. Hi. How are you? Welcome everybody. How you doing? Good to see you. Happy Thursday. Some of you may or may not know I come in an hour later on Thursdays because of family FaceTime, especially during this the current unpleasantness. It's particularly lovely to be able to communicate with fam in this regard. So in the in the interim, away from the time when I can actually, I guess, hold on, let me see if I can fix it. This thing, kind of a thing. There it is. That's why that's so ginormous. There we go. Calm yourself, and then that's why it's so. This it's there's just we need as much time with family and loved ones as possible. Just moving my little graphic around because it was getting a little crazy, and I appreciate it. I really do. I just want to make sure it's seen and not overwhelming for people. So there's a thin line often with the alerts and the streams and the alerts of the alerting. But that said, hi, welcome, and how are you? And hello, chat room, and thank you very much. And it's good to see you. And so happy Thursday. There's a lot going on. Needless to say, in about 10 minutes, Biden is set to make a primetime address. I will cover that here if you want to watch it with me. If you want to, tune out and come back, watch it, unexpurgated and all that stuff, you absolutely can. So, but he'll be up in just a second. Hold on, let me, I switched myself. There we go. So that'll be up in just a moment, 8 minutes and 36 seconds, as it were. In the interim, though, there's obviously a lot to cover. In that, moving boxes fully seen outside the White House today. Oh joy, oh rapture, oh wonderful hilarity and beauty that it is. Hi, Jeanette. By the way, I'm just saying. There's always a chance that Donald Trump will do something awful and crazy. And no, Jeanette, thank you for what you do. I'm just saying. There's always a chance he could pull something ridiculous, or at least try. Again, this is about him trying to do something awful and failing miserably, even in the situation where he, alleges to have won. Most of the time in his life, you'll find that he's been an abject failure. And in the process of being an abject failure, he convinces a certain number of, Michael Cohen's and Rudy Giuliani's in the world that he's a successful businessman and that he's got, capabilities and he knows what he's doing. But you just trust me, I know more about the thing than the people who do the thing every day. All that stuff. Hey, Moto. How you doing, man? Long time no see. Hey, Ani Vera Charles. Hey, Hal, I did several Attacking the Powers of Judah. Well, hi. It's so funny because I was just seeing today somebody had posted a thing on my birthday, which I'd never seen. You can tell when they're brooming stuff out of the internet. I swear to God. Okay, so thank you for bringing this up. I think this is kind of a beautiful thing, and I've noticed it lately because my current occupation in many ways is going into the interwebs and finding all the, like nonsense Mark Levin, Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani videos and showing you what these folks are saying in spite of the fact that it is in complete contrast with reality on all fronts. And kind of, and so I comb through this stuff, and CSL helps me a little bit, and we try to find some videos that will be funny to make fun of, but it's a tricky thing because I can't actually watch the thing as it, to test whether it's something I want to do or not. It's just, I don't know, because I don't want to give these people twice as much time in my life as I already have to. And of course, thank you, Stacy, and thank you, Francie. Thank you guys for the super chats, and thank you for the bits. You guys are wonderful with the bits today. We're at a level 4 hype train already. Look at that. That's amazing and beautiful and wonderful. And so in looking for these things, it's pretty stunning. Hold on, let me open this without opening it. They're looking through all this stuff. It used to be a lot easier. which is kind of a beautiful thing. Like I'm having to dig some now to find Trump and his nuttery all over YouTube. I may even run over to Rumble and DLive and those sites just to hunt down those pieces of video that they're trying to hide on the edges of the interwebs. I mean, for crying out loud, Sidney Powell is on Telegram right now telling people that Rudy Giuliani is an agent of Venezuela. There's just so much. Oh, God. First, Trump's not going to pay him, which we all knew was happening. And now, Sidney Powell. Oh, it's gorgeous. Anyways, so I've been looking through for all this crap, so that we can have some fun and mock these idiots and take their power away by recognizing the bullshittery that they are flailing about and how ignorant and full of themselves they are. And I think that combination, in a lot of ways, of the arrogance and the ridiculousness is really what makes the comedy for me, I'm going to say. Because some people have asked me, in a kind of like semi-gotcha, oh my gosh, level 4 hype train, we got a minute left, we could possibly make it, we're at 79%, I don't know if it's possible, we'll find out, it could be, I don't know. Sub-gift or use bits to get to the next level is what it says, that's what it says. It's just making noises in my ear, so I now know it's happening. Thank you, Jenny. So looking for all this stuff, let's just cut to the chase. It's harder now. And now when I go to my YouTube page, instead of it being flooded with, because this is what I'd look for normally, so the algorithm automatically feeds me more of this garbage, now I get stuff that's much more akin to what I actually said I like when I signed up to YouTube in the first place and stuff. So one of the things that came up was a video from on my birthday that somebody put up that went like, it was like a cartoon site that goes, hey, this person who does cartoon voices has a birthday today. That's all they do. And it's a nice thing, because there's a lot of cartoon voice people that you don't know you wouldn't know them, right? You don't know them. You know the voices, you know the wonderful work they do, but you wouldn't be able to spot them in a crowd. And a lot of them like that, by the way. So, but like Rob Paulson and Maurice LaMarche and Kari Walgren, who I worked with on TAC regularly, they're faces. A lot of people know them because Maurice and Rob did Pinky and the Brain. And so working with them was hysterical because they would swear at each other. Oh, Amber, thank you so much for that super chat. That's amazing. Bless you. So they would like swear at each other in Pinky and the Brain voices while we were in studio. It was just lovely. It was really lovely. And so that just kind of randomly came up. And then all of a sudden, here you are. I mean, there is so much wonderness happening in the world. I mean, let's all just soak this one in for a second, shall we? Thanks, ASL. Palm Beach County looking for a way to end lease with Trump's West Palm Beach golf course. Oh, I'm being canceled. No, you're not. You're not being. Oh, 97%. It's so close. Level 5 already. All right. So it's gonna make it. I believe. I have faith in you guys. This is just all these things that are happening to him. Let me be abundantly clear to all the cancel culture crowd out there who are panicking. For the record, all of these things should have happened a long time ago. This asshole doesn't pay his bills. He treats people like shit. He's embroiled in all these like weird legal fights. He hangs out with Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein while Epstein's stuff was going on and all this in West Palm, where he is. That was a huge trial. Everybody knew about Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell there, especially the college and high school kids who were being broomed and groomed, or not the other way around, groomed and broomed by Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Thank you, Cammie. That's amazing. Thank you guys so much. So they know, West Palm Beach, this has been a story for a long time that Trump hangs out with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. They've known this for a long time, but he was rich. He owns a big piece of property. He's got other pieces of property. He's known as this branding image. They can't really push back against it because he's kind of bulletproof for a long time because money begets money, whether or not you've earned it, right? Thank you, Patty. So they would have gotten rid of him a long time ago on the merits. They just couldn't. And now all the people who couldn't get rid of this asshole are now looking for the exit. Deutsche Bank had, the dude sued them for wanting, so he wouldn't have to pay them back. Like it's, and I don't know who does that, but whatever. That's amazing to me. Like that whole, even the story of that sounds, nuts. So, anyways, the fact that like these guys, Deutsche Bank, all these whatever companies that are splitting with Trump, New York City is dumping a bunch of contracts that they have with the Trump org. A lot of that was just like, well, while he's president, we can't dump these things because these nutcases will show up and at our all over the city and blow shit up. So we what do we do now? And so none of this. All the people calling it cancel culture. I would like to say for the record that this has almost nothing to do with the insurrection at the Capitol or his behavior going forward. None. This is all about they've always wanted to get rid of him, and now's their chance. Hello, Melbourne, Australia. I love you guys, and I want to say to everyone who's friends with anyone who is in Minute Work, I love your work, and you're great. So that, thank you. Oh, the Swedish kroner. Thank you, Aggie. So that's really what this is. Oh, Joe's live now? Let's jump to it then, shall we? I'm grabbing the wrong mouse. It happens. Reload. Hello? Waiting for Joe Biden. 4:15. Program will begin shortly. We're a minute late. It happens. We'll find it out. It'll be coming. It says, waiting for Joe Biden. So I want to be abundantly clear that all of the stuff that's being said about, Trump is being banned because of his political beliefs or any of that nonsense is garbage. All of these people, everybody who stopped talking to Trump or stopped doing business with Trump, every single one of them couldn't wait for a way out of this crap. And he, like the moron that he is, handed everyone that key to the exit. That's what happened. That's it. That is all. I honest to God, there are other people who are full on being canceled for things they've said recently. Right? There are plenty of people in politics. There are plenty of people in media that are saying crap on the internet that's getting them booted. That is absolutely true. But for the record, that is not what is happening to Donald Trump. That has nothing to do with his current experience of New York telling him to go pound sand and West Palm Beach wanting him to leave and all of his investors, who, by the way, he's been stiffing and screwing for years, leaving. Seriously. Ikuvanjo? Did I say it right? Ikuvanjo. Is that right? I think that's pretty solid. I love you in Dutch. That's fairly solid, right? Yeah, the PGA. Exactly. The PGA has been trying to get away from this jerk off. So for the record, they have all, everybody who's, leaving the Trump train right now has been lashed to him for whatever reason up until you can't leave during the Apprentice because he's a TV known entity and it's a big thing. And if it's not too awful, until it, we need an actual, right? Here it is. Got it. Hold on one second. Blink. Hello.
Good evening, my fellow Americans.
Hiya.
It's been 343 days since the virus that has ravaged our nation tragically claimed its first life. On February the 6th in 2020, Patricia Dowd took her last breath at home under the California sun in Santa Clara. She was 57 years old, a beloved wife, mother, daughter, sister. She never knew she had the virus at the time when most folks never heard about the virus. But just like that, she was gone. And almost exactly 1 year later, nearly 400,000 of our fellow Americans have met the same cruel fate. Countless families and friends left behind with unrelenting grief and guilt, anger and frustration. And the emptiness felt by the loss of life is compounded by the loss of our way of life. During this pandemic, millions of Americans, through no fault of their own, have lost the dignity and respect that comes with a job and a paycheck. Millions of Americans never thought they'd be out of work. Many of them never even envisioned the idea, are facing eviction, waiting for hours in their cars to feed their families as they drive up to a food bank. Millions have kept their jobs but have seen their hours and paychecks reduced, barely hanging on as well. That's happening today in the United States of America. Just as in the midst of the dark winter of this pandemic, as cases, hospitalizations, and deaths spike at record levels, there is real pain overwhelming the real economy. One where people rely on paychecks, not their investments, to pay for their bills and their meals and their children's needs. You won't see this pain if your scorecard is how things are going on Wall Street. But you will see it very clearly if you examine what the twin crises of a pandemic and this sinking economy have laid bare. The growing divide between those few people at the very top who are doing quite well in this economy and the rest of America. Just since this pandemic began, the wealth of the top 1% of the nation has grown roughly $1.5 trillion since the end of last year, 4 times the amount for the entire bottom 50% of American wage earners. Some 18 million Americans are still relying on unemployment insurance. Some 400,000 small businesses have permanently closed their doors. And it's not hard to see that we're in the middle of the once-in-several-generations economic crisis with a once-in-several-generations public health crisis. The crisis of deep human suffering is in plain sight, and there's no time to waste.
This is the loudest I can turn it up, guys.
We have to act, and we have to act now. This is what economists are telling us. More importantly, it's what the values we hold dear in our hearts as Americans are telling us. A growing chorus of top economists agree that the moment of crisis, in this moment of crisis, with interest rates at historic lows, we cannot afford inaction. It's not just that smart fiscal investments, including deficit spending, are more urgent than ever. It's that the return on these investments in jobs, racial equity, will prevent long-term economic damage, and the benefits will far surpass the cost. A growing number of top economists has shown even our debt situation will be more stable, not less stable, if we seize this moment with vision and purpose. And so tonight, I'd like to talk to you about our way forward, a 2-step plan of rescue and recovery, a 2-step plan to build a bridge to the other side of the crisis we face to a better, stronger, more secure America. Tonight, I'll lay out my first step, the American Rescue Plan, that will tackle the pandemic and get direct financial assistance and relief to Americans who need it the most. Next month, my first appearance before a joint session of Congress, I will lay out my Build Back Better recovery plan. It'll make historic investments in infrastructure, that Build Back Better plan. Infrastructure, manufacturing, innovation, research and development, and clean energy. Investments in a caregiving economy and skills and training needed by our workers to be able to compete and win in the global economy of the coming years. Moody's, an independent Wall Street firm, said my approach will create more than 18 million good-paying jobs. Our rescue and recovery plan is a path forward with both seriousness of purpose and a clear plan, with transparency and accountability, with a call for unity that is equally necessary. And unity is not some pie-in-the-sky dream. It's a practical step to getting the things we have to get done as a country get done together. As I said when it passed in December, the bipartisan COVID-19 relief package was a very important first step. And I'm grateful for the Democrats, Republicans, together to get it done. But I said at the time, it's just a down payment. We need more action, more bipartisanship, and we need to move quickly. We need to move fast. Our rescue plan starts aggressively in order to speed up our national COVID-19 response. The vaccines offer so much hope, and we're grateful to the scientists and researchers and everyone who participated in the clinical trials. We're also grateful for the rigorous review and testing that has led to millions of people around the world already being vaccinated safely. But the vaccine rollout in the United States has been a dismal failure thus far. Tomorrow, I will lay out our vaccination plan to correct course and meet our goal of 100 million shots at the end of my first 100 days as president. This will be one of the most challenging operational efforts we have ever undertaken as a nation. We'll have to move heaven and earth to get more people vaccinated, to create more places for them to get vaccinated, to mobilize more medical teams to get shots in people's arms, to increase vaccine supply, and to get it out the door as fast as possible. We'll also do everything we can to keep our educators and students safe, to safely reopen a majority of our K-8 schools by the end of the first 100 days. We can do this if we give the school districts, the schools themselves, the communities, the states, the clear guidance they need, as well as the resources they need that they can't afford right now because of the economic dilemma they're in. That means more testing and transportation, additional cleaning and sanitizing services in those schools, protective equipment and ventilation systems in those schools. We need to make sure that workers who have COVID-19 symptoms are quarantined, and those who need to take care of their family members with COVID-19 symptoms should be able to stay home from work and still get paid. This will reduce the spread of the virus and make sure workers get the support they need to maintain their families. But we need about $400 billion in funding from Congress to make all of what I just said happen. It's a great deal, but I'm convinced we are ready to get this done. The very health of our nation is at stake. Our rescue plan also includes immediate relief to Americans hardest hit and most in need. We will finish the job of getting a total of $2,000 in cash relief to people who need it the most. The $600 already appropriated is simply not enough. You just have to choose between paying rent and putting food on the table. Even for those who've kept their jobs, these checks are really important. You see, if you're an American worker making $40,000 a year with less than $400 in savings, maybe you've lost hours, or maybe you're doing fewer shifts, driving a truck or caring for the kids or the elderly. You're out there putting your life on the line to work during this pandemic and worried every week that you'll get sick, lose your job, or worse. $2,000 is going to go a long way to ease that pain. We'll also provide more peace of mind for struggling families by extending unemployment insurance beyond the end of March for millions of workers. That means that 18 million Americans currently relying on unemployment benefits while they look for work can count on these checks continuing to be there. Plus, there will be a $400 per week supplement so people can make ends meet. This gets money quickly into the pockets of millions of Americans who will spend it immediately on food and rent and other basic needs. As the economists tell us, that helps the whole economy grow. We'll also tackle the growing hunger crisis in America. As I speak, and the Vice President-elect has spoken to this many times, 1 in 7 households in America, more than 1 in 5 Black and Latino households in America, report they don't have enough food to eat. This includes 30 million adults and as many as 12 million children. It's wrong. It's tragic. It's unnecessary. It's unacceptable. So we're going to extend emergency nutritional assistance for 43 million children and their families enrolled in the SNAP program through the rest of this year. We'll help hard-hit restaurants prepare meals for the hungry, provide food for the families who need it. We will invest $3 billion in making sure mothers and their young children have the nutrition they need. This will not only meet our moral obligation we have to one another, but it will also spur our economic growth, get restaurants and workers back on the job. And as we work to keep people from going hungry, we'll also work to keep a roof over their heads, to stem the growing housing crisis and evictions that are looming. Approximately 14 million Americans have fallen behind on rent, many at risk of eviction. If we don't act now, there'll be a wave of evictions and foreclosures in the coming months as the pandemic rages on. This would overwhelm emergency shelters, increase COVID-19 infections as people have nowhere to go and can't socially distance. Next week, we'll take action to extend nationwide restrictions on evictions and foreclosures. This will provide more than 25 million Americans greater stability instead of living on the edge every single month. And I'm asking Congress to do its part by funding rental assistance for 14 million hard-hit families and tenants. It will also be a bridge to economic recovery for countless mom-and-pop landlords. These crises are straining the budgets of states and cities and tribal communities that are forced to consider layoff and service restrictions of the most needed workers. It means that people putting their lives at risk are the very people now at risk of losing their jobs. Police officers, firefighters, all first responders, nurses, educators. You know, over the last year alone, over 600,000 educators have lost their jobs in our cities and towns. Our rescue plan will provide emergency funding to keep these essential workers on the job and maintain essential services. It will ensure that vaccines are administered and schools can reopen. Vice President-elect Harris and I have been speaking with county officials, mayors, governors of both parties on a regular basis. We're ready to work with them, help them get the relief they need. Our rescue plan will also help small businesses that are the engines of our economic growth, our economy as a whole, the glue that holds communities together as well. But they're hurting badly. And you realize they account for nearly half of the entire total U.S. workforce. Our rescue plan will provide flexible grants to help those hardest hit small businesses survive the pandemic, and the low-cost capital that will help entrepreneurs of all backgrounds create and maintain jobs, plus provide the essential goods and services that communities depend upon. Last week, I laid out how we'll make sure that our emergency small business relief is distributed swiftly and equitably, unlike the first time around. We're going to focus on small businesses on Main Street. We'll focus on minority-owned small businesses, women-owned small businesses, and finally having equal access to the resources they need to reopen and to rebuild. And we will be responsible with taxpayers' dollars, ensuring accountability that reduces waste and fraud and abuse like we did in the Recovery Act that I administered in our administration. Direct cash payments, extended unemployment insurance, rent relief, food assistance, keeping essential frontline workers on the job, aid to small businesses. These are the key elements to the American Rescue Plan that would lift 12 million Americans out of poverty and cut child poverty in half. That's 5 million children lifted out of poverty if we move. Our plan will reduce poverty in the Black community by 1/3, reduce poverty in the Hispanic community by almost 40%. And it includes much more, like an increase in the minimum wage to at least $15 an hour. People tell me that's going to be hard to pass. Florida just passed it. As divided as that state is, they just passed it. The rest of the country is ready to move as well. It should be a national minimum wage of $15 an hour. No one working 40 hours a week should live below the poverty line. That's what it means. If you work for less than $15 an hour and work 40 hours a week, you're living in poverty. It includes access to affordable child care that will enable parents, particularly women, to get back to work. I look forward to working with members of Congress of both parties to move quickly to get the American Rescue Plan to the American people. And then we can move with equal urgency and bipartisanship to my Build Back Better recovery plan that I will call for next month to generate even more economic growth. American manufacturing was the arsenal of democracy in World War II. It will be so again. Imagine a future made in America, all made in America, and all by Americans. We'll use taxpayers' dollars to rebuild America. We'll buy American products, supporting millions of American manufacturing jobs, enhancing our competitive strength in an increasingly competitive world. Imagine historic investments in research and development to sharpen America's innovative edge in markets where global leadership is up for grabs, markets like the battery technology, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, clean energy. Imagine confronting the climate crisis with American jobs and ingenuity leading the world. It's time to stop talking about infrastructure and to finally start building an infrastructure so we can be more competitive. Millions of good-paying jobs that put Americans to work rebuilding our roads, our bridges, our ports, to make them more climate resilient, to make them faster, cheaper, cleaner, to transport American-made goods across our country and around the world. That's how we compete. And imagine millions of jobs in a caregiving economy to ease the financial burden of caring for young children and aged loved ones. Let's make sure our caregivers, mostly women, women of color, immigrants, have the same pay and dignity that they deserve. So we can do these bold, practical things now. You know, I know what I just described does not come cheaply, but failure to do so will cost us dearly. The consensus among leading economists is we simply cannot afford not to do what I'm proposing. Independent, respected institutions from around the world, from the Federal Reserve to the International Monetary Fund, have underscored the urgency. Even Wall Street firms have reinforced the logic. If we invest now boldly, smartly, and with unwavering focus on American workers and families, we will strengthen our economy, reduce inequity, and put our nation's long-term finances on the most sustainable course. And where we're making permanent investments, recurring investments, as I said in the campaign trail, we will pay for them by making sure that everyone pays their fair share, not punishing anybody. We can do it without punishing a single person by closing tax loopholes for companies that ship jobs overseas, or to allow American companies, 90 of them, the top Fortune 500, to pay zero in federal income taxes, asking everyone to pay their fair share at the top so we can make permanent investments to rescue and rebuild America. It's the right thing for our economy. It's the fair thing. It's the decent thing to do. We not only have an economic imperative to act now, I believe we have a moral obligation. In this pandemic, in America, we cannot let people go hungry. We cannot let people get evicted. We cannot watch nurses, educators, and others lose their jobs. We so badly need them. We must act now and act decisively. My fellow Americans, the decisions we make in the next few weeks and months are going to determine whether we thrive in a way that benefits all Americans, or whether we stay stuck in a place where those at the top do great, while economic growth for most everyone else is just a spectator sport, and where American prospects dim, not brighten. These investments will determine whether we reassert American leadership and outcompete our competitors in the global economy. We're better equipped to do this than any nation in the world. Or whether we watch them catch up and pass us by. Together, I know which path we'll choose. And that includes all Americans, so we can own the 21st century. But even with all of these bold steps, it's going to take time to get where we need to be. There will be stumbles, but I will always be honest with you about both the progress we're making and what setbacks we meet. And there will, and here's the deal, the more people we vaccinate, the faster we do it, the sooner we can save lives and put this pandemic behind us and get back to our lives and our loved ones. And the sooner we can rescue and rebuild the American economy, the biggest and most profitable engine in the world. I know it's been nearly a year that tested us beyond measure. For all of you who have lost someone, my heart goes out to you. I know that feeling looking at that empty chair across the table. All of you who've fallen on hard times, I know you can never get back what you lost. But as your president, I know that every day matters and every person matters. From the very first to the nearly 400,000 lost American souls and counting, to the millions of you just looking for a fighting chance in this economy, I promise you, we will not forget you. We understand what you're going through. We will never, ever give up. And we will come back. We'll come back together. Well, we didn't get into all this overnight. We won't get out of it overnight. And we can't do it as a separated and divided nation. The only way we can do it is to come together as fellow Americans, as neighbors, as the United States of America. And when we do, there's nothing beyond our capacity. I've said this many times. When America acts as one, there's never been a single thing we've been unable to do, no matter how consequential the issue has been. Out of all the peril of this moment, I want you to know, I give him a word, I see the promise as well. We've seen clearly what we face now. And I remain so optimistic about America. As optimistic as I've ever been. We have everything we need, but the will must be demonstrated. So come Wednesday, we begin a new chapter. The Vice President-elect and I will do our best to meet all the expectations you have for the country and the expectations we have for it. I'm confident. I am truly confident. Together, we can get this done and come out better off than when we went into this crisis. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
Mr. President, can you comment on the last person we all want to talk about? Mr. President, you've just said something wonderful, and we all feel a lot better that there's actually clear and concise plans to fix a lot of this stuff. Can you please talk to us for a second in the news about the weird, awful idiot who's stealing the Lincoln bust? We'll get another one. Have some ice cream. See you in a week. Um, well, that in and of itself was very relaxing. I just felt, and I've been doing all this work, making jokes and fart noises and all this kind of stuff, and all it takes is he just does this nice speech like this, and you guys all have the same reaction. Well, fine. It's great to actually see. We need drama. Just one TMZ question, please. What TMZ question? Oh, yes, right. Yeah, the people there. Can you imagine the lab rat's return? If I could, I would. Hope Biden comes through. The stimulus and Republicans block it. He will. Okay, I need a minute. I'm listening, but I'm overwhelmed. Yes, I understand. Everybody can just breathe into this. This is just life as we know it, You gotta... Oh, the mic's hot, because I turned down the other thing. Beg your pardon. Thank you. I'll turn this back down so where it's normal, because all these other shows are, in their ridiculousness, are incredibly quiet. Well, I was, again, some people are like, what are you going to make fun of Biden's slip-ups when he slips up and he's the slip-ups? Like, Biden's never come out and said, I have the best words. The man has a stutter and admits to it. Do you understand? Do you understand that all the jokes we've gone through with Trump, from, I don't know.
Michigan gave us Motang.
To,
We're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Carrot.
to this.
Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused.
Or,
We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
Okay, people slip up when they're talking all the time, okay? It happens. People reverse words. They say millions when they mean billions and billions when they mean millions, all that kind of stuff. That happens with people. It's only funny or worth mocking when the person kicks the door open to the room, goes, none of you bastards know how to talk like I know how to talk. I'm the smartest guy here. Because normal screw-ups are just part of life. But the minute an arrogant ass like Trump comes around going, I know more about ISIS than the generals. I know more about the economy than Wall Street. I have the best words. I know all the best people. When you say you know all the best people and everybody else who's been hired to do jobs before you are stupid, then the minute you fire Rex Tillerson, it's a much bigger joke. Do you understand? It's a much bigger... It deserves more attention because of the bravado and ego that you sold it with. You get it? So none of the jokes that I've told, by the way, just for the, in case anybody's, keeping score, like...
Free health care for illegal... look.
Yeah. There is no... Thank you, Maxwell. All the jokes I've made about when he screws up like that are not actually about the words that Trump mispronounces or screws up. Do you understand? They literally, that's not the basis of the joke. Little comedy school for you. That's not what's funny. What's funny is this asshole just told you for an hour that he can speak better than you can. And then he comes out and says...
The Burmese executives. So this Burmese, they say, pronounce it Burmese.
See what I mean? He's not a jackass because he mispronounced a word. It's his egotistical bullshit. Do you understand? That is the difference. By the way, has anybody checked Twitter to see how Trump's reacting? Oh, damn. So, that is what it's about. You understand? You understand? None of my jokes have been about flubbed words, ever. The joke is about what kind of an asshole this guy thinks you are when he comes into the room, and how much lower you are than he is. Do you understand? That is it. You have to understand that these are all the me mocking Trump. These are all ego jokes. They're the same root of the joke around Inspector Clouseau, for example. Inspector Clouseau is, thank you very much for subscribing. Don't forget to like and subscribe and give a thumbs up. A little comedy school for you. What makes Inspector Clouseau funny is not that he is bumbling. It's not that he falls down a flight of stairs. It's not that he's stupid. It's that he's an asshole. Do you understand? He walks in acting like he owns the place, pretends he's not screwing up, It's all ego jokes. Same thing with Mr. Bean. The reason the Mr. Bean movie didn't work that they made in the States, basically for the American market, is because they just made him clumsy. And that's not funny. It's just sad. When somebody's just clumsy, it makes you laugh for a split second. But if they're like, fuck you guys, and they fall out a window, that's next level. You understand? That's recreatable, useful comedy. And Mr. Bean, if you watch the series, is an asshole. He's a terrible person. He's a thief. He's a liar. He's rude. He pushes people who deserve to be in a space out of that space and then takes that space. He's an asshole. That's what makes it funny. That's, because you wouldn't just laugh. He was just kind of, tripping on shit. That would get tired. Yes, Blackadder's a great example. The ego of Blackadder is worth the fall. That's what it is. And that's why Trump is funny. It's not just that he's, hold on. What is this? Hold on. No. There you go. There you go. Hold on one second. Spam. Excellent. Block. Excellent. Done. Delete. Bye. Okay. So, there's so much fun on Facebook, and they're so easy. But that's the point. I have never, for the record, check me on this, genuinely made a joke about Trump that wasn't based on his ego. Same thing with Ivanka. It's why Don Jr. is funnier than Ivanka. Ivanka has the illusion of magnanimity. That she, the illusion of, as a woman, I am more sensitive in theory, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, tell that to Leona Helmsley. But the reason why Eric and Don are hilarious is because they're egomaniacal dipshits. They're absolutely incompetent morons, and they think the sun shines out of their own ass, and if they could only get their face close enough to their own anus, they could get a nice suntan. They're that dumb. That's what's funny about the two of those assholes, right? So that is incredibly important going forward when anybody's like, why don't you make fun of Biden the way? Because Biden's got humility. Because Biden is a normal human being. His screw-ups, his political difficulties, all those things are not based on this, you guys don't know shit, I know everything. That's Trump's issue. That's what makes Trump a clown. You get it? So when Biden screws up a word or fumfers, for especially considering he has a stutter, he's admitted to his stutter. And everybody misspeaks occasionally. You see it on the news all the time. I don't make fun of every news person that does it. Only the ones who are like, you guys don't know shit, right? Because once the ego works its way into it, then you're fair game. It's like, as a comedian, that's when a light bulb goes off over your head where I'm like, I can go after this one with, completely freely if I want to. Get it? Just people screwing up isn't, the reason why that show, whatever ridiculousness on MTV is a show, is largely because of the arrogance of the idiots who, try to jump a barn on their bicycle. You know what I mean? It's the ego. It's the old thing like, what does a redneck say right before he dies? Watch this, right? That's it. Yeah, if Biden had a fly on his head, people would tell him and he'd go, oh, okay. Anybody ever had a fly land on them or a fleck of dust in their hair? Do you think anybody gives a shit? No. But when you've been staring a hole in Trump's ass for a year and then you want us to suddenly believe you give a crap about the rest of the world, then it's a different game. It is very bushy, my hair. I told you, I did like a thing where I was like, my hair has officially gone from, screw it, I don't need a haircut, we're in the middle of a pandemic, to, there's good days and bad days and back and forth, blah, 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 to, it's now a do. My hair is now, it's an actual shape. It's actually got its own thing. It's an actual do now. I'm very proud of it at this point. And I just want to keep it like at this layering, but get it to like here. I don't straighten my hair. No. I mean, I put it in a towel and wrap it up, but that's, and it kind of, I guess that pulls it tight and straightens it a little bit. I don't know. I'm not a hair scientist on, as far as, I've had long hair in my life. I've had long hair almost as much as I've had short hair. It's almost 50-50, almost. Yes, I am going to cover the Rudy and Bannon interview, and thank you for bringing that up because I want to do that. But I wanted to show you something, because I had it in here. The amount of crap I watch just to find stuff for you guys is friggin' brutal. I'm just saying. Holy God. And the number of like the code words and lunacy that they've been going through to try and, manage this. Because they're getting booted off all the platforms. So they're all coming up with these different kind of, hold on one second. They're coming up with all these different ways of, cues called now, which is hilarious as someone who used to work on Talk Soup, on the E network. It's not that far off. But Camden is beautiful, by the way, and his hair is almost as long as mine right now. Just thanks for asking, Amy. So, yeah. By the way, the sorry, that's just mean to do to you. I should have warned you first. It looks like a freeze frame when someone gets hit with a baseball. By the way, have more caps. What is this? What is this business? You're a grown man. What is this studio business? What is happening here? This weird like we're all just fishing, decided to podcast. Like this is idiot branding. It's every time somebody I think is macho gives me a hat, I'll put it behind me, and by seeing these hats stacked behind me, I am that person, right? That's the stupidity of this. Yeah, they look all of them look awful. But this is him being interviewed by Rudy. Hold on, I'm going to shut my office door because I didn't shut it when I came downstairs, and it's just rude to everyone on earth. By the way, today was abs challenge at the gym. Whoo! Yeah, I'm just saying, like I sit on a stool so that I'm not like, end up with gamer body. And no, I do not collect hats. Not at all. I don't even wear hats. I've tried a few times. I look like a narc if I put on a baseball cap. That's always been true. I look like, like I'm not a cop. Why would you think I'm a cop? Like that's how I look in a baseball cap. Always. Every hat, no matter what. In a toque, I can pull off a toque, but only now that my hair is this length. If I have short hair, I look like, it just looks like a sad story. Looks like my last Facebook post. All right, so yeah, he has to smell like mothballs. I completely agree. Literally, did the cat go in here? Like, this is what, okay, so let's check out this,
Okay, with Mayor Rudy Giuliani. I'll tell you what we're going to do, Mayor, because it doesn't look like it got in enough time to be put into as evidence.
Hold on, by the way, did you notice, he's brooming him already. Have you noticed this? Did you guys notice that? It seemed to me
today into the essentially grand jury.
Oh wait, hold on. I've got to put it on. I'm on the wrong keyboard. So it sounds like to me he's trying to get rid of him. The audio's off. Is the audio okay on YouTube? Check with me. Check in, people. I think we should sound okay. I'm getting signal here. It looks like normal on there. There aren't, unfortunately, on Restream, they don't have an audio meter. By the way, Restream, audio meter, baseline audio meter would be helpful because that's how people know what's going out. So yeah, you see what I'm saying? It would just be helpful. If you're going to let me check the video, you should also, I'm just saying, be really helpful. Do I have to teach everyone everything?
It got in enough time to be put into as evidence today into the essentially grand jury, which is the House of Representatives, which will vote on it.
Yeah, yeah. Essentially, the House of Representatives is a grand jury.
Impeachment, because everything's very hurried. We will follow up and make sure we go through a full vetting of that, and then you can put it out there and people can attack it, etc.
Yeah, yeah, Rudy, don't put anything on screen that's bullshit that will get us sued.
I know Raheem's timeline has been so important to this, but I want to
What is he showing us?
go to because we
Rudy, what do you?
for time. We got McLaughlin. This is
Yeah, Rudy, we don't really want to talk to you. We've got McLaughlin on the Edinburgh McLaughlins.
as I've said from the beginning, and I hate to say I was right in many.
Yeah, I'm sure you despise the idea.
People were wrong or less right. This is a predicate that's leading to a trial in the Senate. In the
Yeah, that's how impeachment works, dickhead. What is this?
trial in the Senate is going to happen after the president no longer has the apparatus.
Why is Rudy showing us his Simply Safe cam in his house right now?
Of the presidency around him. He's going to be devoid of all that. He's going to be tried in absentia by Chuck Schumer.
He's not going to be tried in absentia. They're not trying a patch a doctor put in his heart in absentia. Jesus, what is this? What is it? What is Rudy showing us? Is this just Antifa porn? Is this what
a Senate that's run by
he'll? I'm sure he'll tell us. It looks like evidence to me.
Chuck Schumer in a presidency run by Joe Biden and his guys, right?
Right. There isn't time for the trial because Mitch McConnell's not doing it. The impeachment is going through. Yes, there will be a trial. It's not in absentia. He can have attorneys present. He can come and testify if he wants to, which would be frigging hysterical.
In a house by Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, yeah. Rudy, why are you showing us a male stripper?
And they're going to try to strip him of many things. Security clearance.
Yeah.
Ability to contact, I think, interact with foreign dignitaries.
He can contact and interact with any foreign dignitary he wants. He just doesn't get a through line as a former president. He doesn't get to use, hey, Secret Service guy, let me see your phone. I want to call the Erdogan.
His presidential library, his Secret Service protection.
Presidential library is not paid for by the people. He can still have a presidential library. You're a dickhead.
But most importantly, the ability.
I mean, he won't. And I mean, we've all been talking, like, seriously, now it sounds like a plus. It sounds like Trump would listen to what Bannon's saying. Is like, I don't have to have a library. Libraries suck. Libraries are for, like, nerds or something.
Ability to lead the MAGA movement and to run for president of the United States again.
Yeah, he can't run again, but he can lead the MAGA movement all he wants to. He would just have to do it in private industry, in a form of sort of commerce, like sort of like a evil, out of shape, disgusting, slovenly Tony Robbins. Like Tony Robbins if he had a railroad spike through his head.
Again, in a rematch. Right? That's what they want to do. They want to disappear him like they've done it on social media. So
yeah, that's what they want to do. They want to. It's just because they don't like him, probably.
Is that your understanding now that you definitely think that this is going to happen and it will lead to a trial, or is this just to embarrass him today and it's going to go away?
It's not an app, asshole. This is government.
I have put out the picture of the main Antifa person who organized this. This is an 18-minute video. It is available. You can listen to it. He's the organizer, not some MAGA person. And he was.
Yeah, I totally believe that. Like, look at the guy. You can see his ID. He says he does it. So Rudy puts out this video. All right, call off the dogs. Do we really even need a trial?
And he was
okay. Where can you? Where can you? Where can you get it? Where can people?
I will put it on my website.
Okay, fine.
I will put this on my website, and it lays out the entire plan, and it makes it clear that Trump has nothing. This should have been out for 5 days.
Yeah, except it was made after the 6th. Wait a minute. This should have been out for 5 days.
And this man should be in jeopardy. It should be incarcerated. He was there when the
Oh, he should be in jeopardy. So you want this actor you hired killed?
murder took place, and he filmed it.
Okay.
Now,
Okay, Rudy,
the president
fine.
will
I
have
got it. I
plenty
got
of
it.
time to
I got
Did he just drop his iPad on the drink tray?
it. Okay, fine. Next topic.
Now I'm
Go.
going to answer your question.
Yeah, whatever. Bullshit, Rudy.
The president will have plenty of
Thank
time
you.
to redeem it. The president will have plenty of time to redeem himself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I will. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for him to cut the pounds, shave his head, get in rock hard shape, start doing ads for Nugenics, and then, dust off Melania and marry some sort of mousy housefrau to just show he doesn't need a trophy wife anymore who, makes him green shakes every morning. And then they put out a new book about how he rebuilt himself from scratch. And you could, America's Biggest Loser. And yeah, I can't wait. He's going to totally redeem himself.
Because a lot of what is being done now is completely false.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Like that stupid video you just put up that literally Steve Bannon is laughing at.
That's what he's got
Thanks, Zachamania.
to do. He's got to deconstruct it in the same way he deconstructed Ukraine. When Ukraine was over, half the people believed it, half the people didn't. When this is over, more than half the people will believe it. Over a period of time, the proof is there that this is not true. He did not incite. He did not incite to insurrection. The violence was caused and instigated by other people. The main violence was done by Antifa people, that is the shooting of the innocent woman.
I'm sorry. What was that again? Did you guys hear that?
Violence was done by Antifa people, that is the shooting of the innocent woman.
The innocent woman was shot by Antifa. So now, Secret Service and Capitol Police are Antifa. What are you talking about? This is on video. How in the world, honestly, process that?
So he's going to have to fight back.
Yeah, he's gonna fight. Yeah, fight. Just use fight language more. Say fight and fighting and fighting. Fight. That helps. That helps, especially in the political arena. Fight. Yeah. How about this, Rudy? You go find the cop that had to shoot that woman because people were breaking through and they were going to kill members of Congress and the vice president. And that guy had to shoot a woman who was the first one through the hole to keep everybody else back. And you go find him and pick a fight.
He's going to have to fight back like he always has against the media.
You mean send other people and live tweet television? Oh, he can't. Oops.
Rudy, the shooting of the Air Force veteran was done by I think a Capitol Hill security officer that she was coming through the thing.
Steve, I know, but you haven't looked at the video. She was put up.
Okay.
She was pushed up by two Antifa people.
Two Antifa pushed her. They used her as a human shield.
They
Okay, fine.
were the ones.
Okay.
They were the ones.
Okay,
Antifa
fine.
was leading the charge
Look, he's laughing at him. He's literally like, this is nuts.
into Pelosi's
They were not leading the charge, asshat.
chamber.
Okay,
and the
fine,
act of
okay.
violence took place with them all around.
How did they? What website did they go to get that? I don't mind being shut down for my craziness, but I'm not going to be shut down for yours.
Well,
I know you guys have worked on this. I'm sure it all stands up.
I'm really very frustrated. I'm not crazy. And what
I know
I'm
you-
saying
I know
is
you are.
not crazy. And what I have
I know
is
you're
on video. It's on video.
Okay.
It's available. You can go to if you want to see that one, you can go to my podcast. I have that posted on my podcast.
On your podcast.
You can see the
So that's
exact
common.
shooting.
That's common. I want to make sure people can get
That's
these. things. So be specific.
Rudy'sCommonSense.com. Rudy'sCommonSense.com.
Rudy'sCommonSense.com.
And I
okay.
don't
The most ironically named page in history.
say crazy things.
I know. I'm teasing you. Now, how can they get? That's one video. How do they get the other video?
Yeah, tell us about the other video.
The other one I'll put up today.
Yeah, later. I got to do a couple of things. I got to do a couple of cleanups. I'm sorry, I'm not rubbing my nose. My drink splashed on my nose and it tickles.
Okay, about what time, approximately?
Probably in about 4 or 5 hours, it'll be up.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Okay, so we have the first one up now. People can go to Rudy's, the podcast, and by the way, it's one of the top podcasts in the world, Rudy's
It totally is. It's one of the top podcasts in the world.
Common Sense.
The top podcasts in the world. It's one of the top podcasts in the world.
Other video will be up sometime today.
And then there'll be
Yeah, on the not quite.
many, many more.
Many more. But you believe when people start to see this, that this will blow back on Pelosi in this rush to judgment that they've done, and actually also the FBI and these other investigative apparatus.
Now, to Rudy's credit, he's doing all this bullshitting for free. So,
Yes, sir.
That have somehow not gotten to the heart of what went on here.
Just like they didn't believe me about the Ukraine, and it took.
yeah, and he got impeached for it. And if the Republicans didn't hold the Senate, and if they weren't afraid of whatever compromise he had on a couple of senators, he would have gotten removed already, and 7 people from the 6th would be alive, and 100,000 fewer people would be dead from COVID.
And it took the hard drive to prove that every single thing I said about the Ukraine was 100% true, and they were lying. This will.
No. Everything he said about the hard drive is 100% a lie, and he's insane. I can say, prove me wrong.
Turn out to be exactly the same way, because I was fortunate enough to find some people who have been doing undercover work with MAGA people who were doing undercover work, filming Antifa for some months. They have the organizer. They have the brother of the organizer who has turned on him. They have numerous videos
of Ali Alexander and Alex Jones talking to Gosar and Biggs in the Congress while leading the attack. Did they have that video?
The key violence here, not all of it, but the key violence here was caused by Antifa. And when the FBI says Antifa wasn't involved, they let the chief Antifa guy go without.
Yeah, because that's how the FBI works.
Bail.
Okay, are you going to turn this over to, you've been.
Yeah, he's gonna turn it over to basically anybody on the street corner outside of his building.
Very critical of the FBI.
Yes, I
Are you
am.
going to turn this over to the
I'll turn it
investigative
over to
apparatus?
I won't turn it over to the FBI. Why should I turn it over to the FBI? They've already said Antifa is not involved. You have to be blind looking at tape to think that Antifa is not involved. Blind.
I mean, am I the only person enjoying the Republicans attacking the FBI like out of whole cloth?
Blind with Democrat prejudice and the
Blind with Democrat prejudice. That's what the FBI's always had, I think.
kind of garbage we've seen from the FBI.
Turn off your phone, Rudy. Nobody wants to talk to you. And stop playing your ringtones to pretend.
For the last 5 years. I'm going to turn it over to the U.S.
Did you see he just clicked his phone and handed it to somebody?
Attorney's Office.
To the U.S. Attorney's Office. Okay. Last question.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Do you believe the evidence that you've pulled together will be enough, plus the evidence you pulled together on how the president actually won the campaign, the election? Do you think both those sets of evidence, both the numbers and the math and the receipts is what we call
So
it,
good.
that backs up with the Peter Navarro and all those reports and all the work that you and your team have done?
Yeah, Peter Navarro. Yeah, tell them about what Peter Navarro told you.
In addition to what you've got today that shows either Antifa or other anarchist groups or whatever the groups are eventually called, but you've got evidence that putting forth both of this is enough that will crush any attempt to basically convict Donald Trump in the trial that will be held in the Senate.
I do, Steve. I do. I don't believe it's going to rebut all of this all at once, any more than the first.
What? Honest to God, what is what are you waiting for? Seriously, like, it's one thing to this bullshit about, like, we're still trying to find. He's had this Hunter Biden laptop for over a year. He paid $5 million for it in Ukraine. They were only selling it for $3 million. He paid $2 million extra to get this fake hard drive and bring it back to the States and say some blind Delaware shop owner found it. Like, the whole thing is so lazy and contrived, and they gave it to the FBI over a year ago. This is so, I mean, what are you waiting? Like, if any of even the remotest piece of evidence that they were talking about was on there, you'd have dropped it. Oh, God, it's so pitiful.
Then the first evidence.
But they can't get it out on the internet. Yeah, like, you couldn't have dropped a bunch of shit on 4chan or 8chan or on your own website or dumped it everywhere at once. Like, this is the laziest, stupidest. Believe me, if I had a hard drive full of stuff on Rudy Giuliani, and I think maybe this is a generational thing. I'm going to talk to my peeps for a second. People who have grown up like I did, seen a lot of movies, especially hacker movies in the 90s, right? That one thing we learned, I think Blue Thunder, the lesson of Blue Thunder, you guys Blue Thunder is about an attack helicopter that the military is giving to Los Angeles that allegedly is for crowd control, but it's got lethal means and all sorts of, like, beyond Patriot Act level spying capability, and they don't want people to know about it. So they murder somebody to cover it, and the pilot that's supposed to fly it figures out all this shit and is like, yeah, we can't, man, he ends up destroying it. It's great. In it, though, they record all the events on these tapes, and if the tapes are inside the sleeve, they can be erased remotely in Blue Thunder. Yeah, it's the Roy Scheider movie. And so there's this big scene where the girl's trying to get the news, get the contents of this videotape that show this murder to the news, and these people are, like CIA level guys or whatever, military contractors are trying to kill her and kill him while it's all happening. And right at the last second, they slide the video out of the case and they try to erase it, and it's out of the case now, and that kind of, like, and so it doesn't erase, and they're able to do it. It's great. Yeah, spoiler alert. It's worth watching. It's amazing. It's amazingly prescient as a movie. Think about this movie. Yeah. So anyways, like, it's incredibly ahead of its
Evidence
time
about
in that
Russia.
regard. But shut up, Rudy. I'm not done talking. So the moral of that story, when I was a kid, watching that movie, I think it came out in the 80s, but was Roy Scheider and Lyman Good, the Jaffo who gets killed, know that you have to take it out of the case or it'll be erased. So you tell the person that when you're trying to get it someplace, you immediately take it out, and then you do everything you can to immediately get it to, publication. Now that we live in an internet world, is anyone sitting on digital info for more than a day? You know what I mean? If I had a hard drive that had, crimes that Rudy was committing on this level or whatever, I would take the actual one, I would make a copy of it, I would give the actual one to the FBI, and I would make 5 copies of it and hand them out to all the major networks. I'm not holding back anything, because that's the way to get killed, right? This is why it's so stunningly dumb, and why it, quite frankly, is a lie.
Russian collusion, got rid of it right away, or the first offense about the Ukrainian call, did it right away. I think it's
What do you mean did it right away? He got impeached for it, asshole.
going to take 3 or 4 months, believe it or not, to overcome this, because they've done such a good job of dominating
Of showing everyone who Donald Trump really is.
the narrative, reaching into Republicans.
Yeah, it's really, you're right, Rudy. It's really a narrative thing, guys. It's really, what they've done is they've kind of kicked our ass in the branding sphere.
And we have done such a poor job of
Yes, we know. We know. We've heard from everybody. You have no balls. The Republicans are terrible at leading. They can't stay together, and yet they should run everything. I hear you.
rebutting it. I mean, the fact that you don't know this evidence
Is pathetic. You call yourself Steve Bannon. Who are you?
is shocking because it should have been out there. It was
You just made it up, Rudy.
available day 2, and it should have been out there all weekend.
It was available day 2. You mean it was filmed 2 days after the 6th? It was available day 2. You mean on the 8th, we were like, holy shit, we need some video. Get some dude in all black to dress up and go, I'm Captain Antifa. I'm totally I am the Emperor of Antifa.
All weekend instead of the
I really planned this whole thing. Donald Trump had nothing to do with it. Look at my cool Antifa outfit. I've got a special belt. I've got a thing. I brought a special. I've got these elbow pads so that when I'm lifting up Ashley Babbitt, which is all a part of the plan, I can not hurt my elbows because I got a click from
of the void that we left for them
Thanks, Annie.
to defame us. And that has become very powerful right now. It reminds me of when I first came into the impeachment case when 60% of the American people were against it.
Yeah.
We go through periods of time in which we sit there like a punching bag for 4 or 5 days, and the punching bag gets really injured. And it takes about
Yeah, that's all. I've always had a problem with my bleeding punching bags. You know what I mean? It's like I've even thought about. I think I might start using real people because they don't get as injured as my punching
3
bag.
or 4 months to pump up that punching bag again. This is not going to happen
Yeah, that's right. Because all your inflatable punching bags. What? I love his analogies. The best words.
one presentation or 2. This is going to take 3 or 4 months. Other things are going to have to come.
It's going to take some serious money, Steve. Okay? I can't just... this is old school lawyer bullshit. Look. Hold on. I'm going to make myself bigger because I deserve to be. Look, what are we really watching here? What are we really watching? What we're watching is... This is... Oh, thank you, Iron Knight Prime. Add some brain drippage. I don't know that there's any left to drip. It's so weird. Are we really watching Rudy Giuliani defending Donald Trump? Is that what we're watching? No. That's what you're supposed to think we're watching. What we're really watching is a lawyer who charges by the hour telling you it's going to take a long time. I'm going to need to be at this for months. That's what this is. So can we stop pretending that this is him, defending
have
it?
to come out. Other things that corroborate it. It's there.
By the way, did somebody just say that's a prankster, not Antifa? No kidding. But Google video shows prankster, not Antifa. Oh, I don't doubt it for a second.
I am very confident.
Rudy is just that dumb. I mean, seriously. Guy in all new, all black, wearing a balaclava and all this stuff.
It'll happen, but it's not happening in the next 3 or 4 days. A little bit in the next 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, just some, but I'm going to need some serious coin to keep at this.
Do you think
This is a fucking grift is what we're watching right now. This has nothing to do with Donald Trump's being mistreated or they were Antifa and blah, blah, blah. None of that. Those are the sparkly things that are supposed to catch your attention. What we're really watching is this asshole arguing that somebody owes him millions of dollars to go chase his tail.
Do you think, by the way, because we turned some of those guys that obviously over to you, but we're not at that level of an investigative apparatus. That's where we really.
Really? You're not? I would assume that you guys. I mean, you guys look like. I mean, this looks like one of those when they have those we're having a reunion of that 80s show you loved online during COVID. Please help us raise money for charity. This is like a cop show from the 70s giving that a try. These two guys, remember Bannon and Giuliani? It was such a great show. And my name is Max. It was Steve and Rudy. It was like 10-speed and brown shoe, only it smelled like feet. Yeah, it was like the only reviews were, it's like Beretta but dumb. But we're gonna get them back together because there's a huge cult following.
Where we really take law enforcement knowledge. I know with Bernie Carrick,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it takes
others
my
on the
Bernie
team,
Carrick sitting right next
you've got
to
the
me.
best.
Oh, he's literally in the room with Bernie Carrick.
And that's why we put those guys in that direction, because quite frankly, it's above
Yeah, because they're on it, man.
our professional expertise. But we do know the guys have been
Totally.
doing some of that. But you do agree that this is to and I'm not saying be validated, but to actually
You do agree that this is kind of bullshit, but keep swinging.
get it into the system and make it something. It's got to be to the U.S. attorney or some sort of group.
Some sort of legitimate law enforcement entity is going to have to be allowed to look at this shit and stop laughing long enough
That can then do even a more thorough investigative.
then more thorough. Screw you, Steve Bannon. More thorough. You're talking to Rudy Giuliani and Bernie Carrick. He's literally dusting one off right now. I mean, you can't tell that Rudy's just in mid. Seriously.
Effort about what this very disturbing footage is that you have.
Yes, number one, that would be
What the hell was that? Don't let big tech prevent you. What's this? What's this subliminal advertising bullshit?
the best. That would be the ideal. But we were able to turn it around
It's their own ad. They're selling their ad. Okay.
before without the help of the FBI, the Justice Department, the U.S. Attorney.
Yeah, America. We've got all the law enforcement and intelligence people we need with my friends of Bernie's. They're here. They're from the what is it, guys? FSB. They're FSB guys. They're awesome.
Attorneys.
I mean, they're the ones who got pictures of Rudy with that hooker, so they can find anything.
They never helped us on Russian collusion. They never helped us on Ukraine. Even
They weren't supposed to help you, asshole. They were supposed to follow the truth. Blame the truth.
with the hard drive.
You know who did, by the way? Rod Rosenstein. That's who you should be kissing. If Rudy should be kissing anyone's ass right now, it's Rod Rosenstein, because he was the guy who made sure that the Mueller team could not look at Trump's finances. We're not allowed to look at where he got his money from, which is, means, motive, and an opportunity. They took the motive part out, and then they can't make a case.
Drive. They've never used a hard drive for that purpose. We did, Steve. So, no, I'm not going to say it has to be the FBI or even the U.S. Attorney's Office that validates this. I think people are coming to the point of view where they don't give a damn what the FBI.
Yeah, they don't give a damn. You don't need a functioning government. They're kind of like, let's storm the FBI. Good God.
U.S. attorneys validate because they appear, I'm not saying they are, but they appear to be so corrupt on matters like.
No, they don't. You appear to be fucking insane. This is another one of those stupid, this is Occam's rubber mallet again. The simplest explanation is the most corrupt. It must be the swamp, right?
Matters like this.
It couldn't be that my theories are shit and my evidence is a mockery. No. It can't be that I'm mistaken about this. It couldn't be that my $5 million was ill spent.
Just think about it. Russian collusion, not turned around by the FBI. They were hiding the documents that would exculpate them. Ukrainian.
How do you hide documents that exculpate you? Like, if they exist, you were in Ukraine, you have friends in Russia, he's friends with Putin. What exculpatory evidence is there?
Non-involved.
Look, there's a note I got from Pooty Poot right here, and it said, I can't read Russia. Read this for me. It says, Donald did not collude et al. Signed Epstein's mother. And by mother, we mean Ghislaine Maxwell. P.S. See attached photo and keep your mouth shut. It's good.
Involvement. They were hiding the hard drive that completely exculpated. I had to get the hard drive, Steve, not the FBI.
How does a hard drive exculpate? What the hell does Hunter Biden's laptop have to do with whether or not Trump is involved with Russia?
Bernie Kerik and I had to deliver the hard drive, not the FBI.
Oh, you guys delivered the hard drive. So, because Bernie's sitting right there. That's a new piece of information. That's new. That's fun.
And they have still not investigated it. But everybody.
Well, they did investigate it. They looked at it. They sent it to their team. Their team went, everything on here is fabricated. These are a series of photoshopped images, a bunch of manufactured texts, a bunch of half real and half fake text messages and emails that have had lines and sentences inserted in them, and in a bunch of financial documents that don't make any sense, just filler to sell it to this asshole. Yeah, we'll call you back, Rudy. Fucking hell. Just put him on hold.
But everybody knows it's true because we got it out.
It's out. Is it out, guys? Is it out? Have you guys seen the contents of... You've downloaded the entirety of the Hunter Biden laptop, haven't you? Haven't you guys seen the entire printouts, the trillions of PDFs of all the documents, including the metadata that would let you know it was actually real?
So, no, I don't. I am... we got to do
Yeah. So screw the FBI. Love Rudy Giuliani.
this ourselves. We have to do this. We cannot
this
count
call
on the
for
FBI.
Yeah, you got to do this on your own. Are you... Goonies never die.
And now, with the
doesn't-
Justice Department changing to Biden,
Yep.
of course we can't rely on the Justice Department.
Well, yeah, because there won't be Bill Barr running it. By the way, I don't know why it ended there. Like, that's their, that's the end of it. Did they just go, thanks, Rudy, bye. Thank you, bye, Rudy. Christ almighty, these people are dumb. Okay, so hold on one second. I'm going to get rid of this, and then I want to bring up one more thing so I can, let's see. Okay. These are, so we saw, Trump's apology video. This is Newsmax's response to what the plan is going forward. This is a bunch of these guys. Hold on, I got to turn the audio on this one. And then...
Joining us now to discuss this is Boris Epstein, a strategic advisor for Trump campaign.
Really? Look, I'm sure he's a quality individual. I'm just saying, can Trump not find somebody that doesn't have the same last name as a dead pedophile while he's hiring another pedophile to represent him? Another two? Rudy and Alan Dershowitz?
Boris, thanks for joining us. We watched yesterday as House Democrats, 10 Republicans voted to impeach the president. No one from the
the most bipartisan impeachment in history.
Trump campaign or legal team had a voice at these proceedings. Is there something...
You don't get one at that part. You get it in the trial. We did this already. Stop saying... We didn't even get to say anything. First of all the Republicans who spoke against ruling on it, from Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz and all these assholes, they absolutely were strictly there on orders from Trump to defend him. Secondly, he gets a trial in the Senate. What are you talking about?
Something you think the president would like to say about this second impeachment?
Yes. Be his tweets, Epstein. Please, for us. Be his tweets.
Well, I think the president has been very specific, and thank you for having me, of course. The president...
Yeah, of course. What I don't understand is why you have a blue shirt, a dark blue blazer, and a pink, loosely stuffed pocket kerchief. Like, I don't understand what's happening here. I mean, I understand you're probably in the middle of being deposed in your, in your criminal case.
The president has been very specific that this is a time for unity, full stop.
Well, at least he spells it differently. That protects him a little bit.
Also, he's been specific that he has no part, he had no part in those terrible riots that did happen at the.
Yeah, no defendant has ever said that. Yeah, Scott Peterson totally wants everybody to know that he really misses her and he wants her home. And where is she? Why?
Capitol. The president urged peace.
Seriously, honestly, you got to understand, folks, we as a public have seen so many people who are like, I don't know whatever happened to her. We miss her so much. And you're like, oh, okay, he killed her. We know this. But he couldn't have killed her. He was her boyfriend. And, I mean, yes, he said on camera, boy, I'd like to kill her a couple of weeks, and the day of, the day she disappeared, he was on tape going, somebody should kill this woman, But now he's on the news going, if anybody has any information, please call this number. What? Can I finish? Thank you, officer. Yes, I'll come with you in a second. Please don't cuff me in front of these people. Yeah.
A peaceful and patriotic march to the Capitol during the rally, during his speech, and he's consistently insisted that
I'm sorry, he what?
At the Capitol, the president urged a peaceful and patriotic march to the Capitol during the.
No, he didn't. He told them to go up there and fight like hell, and you don't concede, and you have to stop the steal, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore, and if we don't stop the steal, our country is over. It was war. He was calling for war. It was wishful thinking. Maybe in his wildest dreams, he didn't think they'd pull it off as much as they did, and he thought they'd just go up there and shit all over the steps.
During the rally, during his speech, and he's consistent.
He went back to the White House and watched it and got his first boner in 7 years.
Consistently insisted that his supporters, the MAGA movement, the MAGA crowd, be peaceful. And the president has stated that time and time again, including when he went to
after
Texas on Tuesday.
Boris,
yes. I'm sorry. When he went to Texas, was that before or after they stormed the Capitol and beat a cop to death?
even in his final days, President Trump being kicked out the door, at least trying to, did the president do enough? How did we get to this point?
No, he didn't, because he wanted it to happen. He was excited. Everybody around him was talking about that. And by the way, during his impeachment trial, guess who's going to get called? And they won't have, the protection of working in the administration during this next impeachment trial. The president can't stop people from testifying, and they can't avoid a subpoena. So when they're in that room and they go, what was the demeanor of the president as he watched people storm the place? And be careful about your answers, because we've already talked to the other people who were in the room. What did he say? He was very excited. He was super excited.
To this point.
The president has done his absolute best to actually work across the aisle. If you think about his relationship.
Yeah, that's that. I really, that's the description I would think of. I mean, his absolute best. His absolute best at working across the aisle? You mean he fell short of actually stabbing them? Hello from South Australia. Oh, good to see you. How are you? I can't wait to get down there and see you.
His relationship with Nancy Pelosi, his relationship even with Chuck Schumer when he had them.
His relationship? Get the what?
Over in the Oval Office throughout.
Oh, over in the throughout what? Throughout what? The first 6 days of his presidency?
These last 4 years, he had tried to reach across the aisle, but...
Yeah, but it couldn't. Because every time he'd reach across the aisle, he'd try to grab some of the female members by their members. And it was just, they just rejected him. It was very wrong or whatever. So he had to send a mob.
The Democrats have just been way too triggered by the president's being. And you're seeing that in this canard, completely contrived.
Oh, that's what we are. Guys, it's not, we're not really upset because a woman was shot in the neck and a cop was beat to death and another one was beat on the stairs by a guy wielding a flagpole with an American flag on it. And Another officer got his ribs broken, and 3 other people had heart attacks and medical emergencies, and another cop committed suicide the day after, and nobody knows whether it was because he felt guilty because of something he did do or didn't do, or if it was wholly unrelated, but the timing's kind of curious in the Capitol Police world. We're not upset about that. It's just his face. You know what I mean? Let's just impeach him again because of his face. I mean, beyond Trump's pathetic attempt at at defending himself after the attack, and beyond Newsmax being the Donald Trump rusty trombone network, Boris, as an attorney, you're a piece of shit. You're a garbage attorney. You're crap, because you can stop just short of making stuff up and still sell your point. Now you've just fallen down into the Rudy hole and you're stuck there.
Tribe's impeachment that they rushed through, only leaving 1 or 2 hours for debate.
Take me to January.
By the way, somebody's saying in the thing that Maxwell's going to be pardoned by Trump. Won't happen. Not going to happen.
January 21st.
I mean, whether she lives or dies in prison because some other rich person, doesn't want her talking, is a whole other ball of wax that we could spend weeks on, I have no doubt. Trump is not going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell.
At that point, you will have a Biden presidency. President Trump moves on.
Yes, his name is Boris and Epstein.
What would be next? How would you advise President Trump in the days after leaving office?
Well, President Trump is going to continue to be a leader of a movement. Polling came out today.
Yeah, he's going to lead a movement, tax on state capitals.
That there's widespread support for this president, over 70% support for the president among
over 70% support. No,
the Republican Party in terms of potential running for 2024. The support on.
You can't quote shit. You can't quote polls that happened before the 6th. Sorry.
Space, the president is at about 90% among Republicans. So this president is the leader of the MAGA movement, the leader of the current.
There is no MAGA movement. Sorry. It'll hang on. They'll make some noise. They'll try to sell some shit. He'll try to, push this as a brand for a while, but it'll go right down the toilet. It's going to dissipate into a bunch of run-of-the-mill Republicans going back to what they were doing. A bunch of them will glom on to Ted Cruz. A few will glom on to Josh Hawley. There'll be a few that are jockeying to be the next voice of MAGA. There's no there.
Current Republican Party needs.
He's saying 70%. He's got over 70% of the Republicans like Trump.
It's going to continue to be so after January 20th.
Boris, do you advise?
Boris, by the way, man, why do you think it's stupid for them to put on a video of Trump when he actually at the event where he actually started the riot? Because they could show, they've got obviously Newsmax has a shit ton of footage of Trump, but they got to put this footage up where he actually called for them, and he sent his little murderous crowd off to the joyous sounds of YMCA.
Do you advise the president? Do you
Thank
tell
you, Bethany.
him to? This is.
And by the way, thanks guys for tuning in today. Look, I'm doing a reset like a real adult. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the show. If you've never been here before, welcome. I'm glad for you for finding this. It's good for you. We're all going to make it through all this craziness, especially over the next few days together. And then also we will keep ourselves entertained in the total post-Trump days, because these are really post-Trump days, quite frankly. There's nothing. He hasn't been running the country since Mike Pence is the one who called in the National Guard because Trump refused to. Pence has been president. And I would argue that John Fugelsang's prediction is getting stronger and stronger by the day. Fugelsang thinks that on the 19th, Trump will resign and Pence will pardon him. The problem he has is that it won't help him with the state charges, and that's most of his fear. So he might just go, screw it. I'm better off just fighting it. If I admit to this, I'm screwed. And he can't pardon himself. So, but yeah.
This is a
Anyways, welcome and glad you could be here. And thanks and support and like and subscribe and thumbs up and stars and super hearts and cheers and super chats and patreon.com/Al Sparks and also Venmo. There you go. I did it all. Hey! Da, 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 da. All right. I'm trying. Guys, I'm trying. I mean,
this is a question that's been asked even in media outlets. Do you tell him to back off?
what's with the GOP woman filing impeachment for Biden? Waste of time. Who cares? Honest to God, it means nothing. Don't get riled up about it. She can file whatever she wants. It won't go anywhere. Even if everybody in the Republican Party in the House signed on to it, still gonna die. It's dumb. It's a flap. Don't worry about it. Honest to God. Like, you can view it like Rudy shit in a bemused kind of a way, but please don't stress about any of this garbage. Please don't look at Marjorie Taylor, what's her name, Greene, filing, on day one, I'm going to impeach that. Who gives a shit? Honestly, I'm not, no. I'm not getting upset about that. Are you kidding?
Back off the election fraud claims? Do you continue to push that? Do you move on from it?
Well, the president obviously is the leader of the country right now, and he continues to be the leader of the Republican Party. And it's his prerogative to go out there and make the statements that he chooses to do, to make the points that he focuses on. And you saw yesterday, he focused on unity. He focused on the country.
Yeah, because you made him, Boris. Boris, stop pretending. We all know you have to say this, this, and this, and this, or you're legally culpable for the other shit. We need you to produce evidence, Trump. We need you to, Donald, listen to me. As your lawyer, this is what we need you to do. You said all this shit. Then all that stuff happened. They're going to say all that stuff happened because you said all that shit. So we need you to say this shit so we can say you said this shit as well as that shit, and that negates that you made the shit happen. You get it? All right. Shit.
Country going forward, I will tell you from my perspective that we have to look at the election system in this country. We have to look at the problems with mail-in voting and ensure that the deep issues that we face
there were none
in 2020 do not happen in future elections.
The president's...
what do you mean? That 95% of the ballots in this country have a paper trail? Only 86% in 2016. But 95% had a paper trail this time around. Is that what you're talking about, Boris? Is that what you... Thank you, Jamie. Is that what you're talking about, Boris? We can't let that happen again. We can't let people mail in their ballots. Look how many people voted. If all these people actually vote because they don't have to stand in line for 7 hours or drive 2 hours to the only polling place, then shit, how are we ever going to get elected?
The president's biggest megaphone taken away from him, his Twitter account.
Well, he is the president and does have a press spokesperson. He can call a primetime address anytime he wants to. He's the president. But please tell me about Twitter.
This is how you knew the inner workings of this man's head. He was so...
or lack thereof.
Readily accessible. That was taken. Jack Dorsey put out tweets explaining why he did it. That it gets a little bit in the mud as far as his response. But my question is...
Whose response? Dorsey's or Trump's response?
Is this... How President Trump has some 70, 80 million followers, those that voted for him, those that support him, and maybe more than that. Some would argue that. How does he reach out to them after leaving office?
Here's how you do it. DonaldTrump.com has the ability to show words. So every day, whenever he's mad, they can put a little text feed and people can just watch him live blog. He can become a blogger. And honestly, he's a Donald J. Trump micro blogger. That's what I'm saying. He's got a fucking website. Let him type on it. Who gives a shit? If all of his people love him so much, then they won't check his website. Get out of here.
Well, first of all, to your point, the censorship from Twitter is absolutely unacceptable. Twitter.
It's completely acceptable. It's in their terms of service. He's violated their terms of service multiple times. Again, it was only because of the 6th that they were allowed to actually kick him to the curb, because they would have, if he was anyone else, kicked him out a long time ago.
Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, as you just mentioned, even Pinterest choosing to ban the president, even though that makes absolutely no sense. It's not like he's putting together collages of pictures. The
Well, he's certainly not going to now.
mainstream media and the big tech censorship of this president are absolutely unacceptable, and they are against the
They're against what? Oh, sorry, what? They're against the what?
big tech censorship of this president are absolutely unacceptable, and they are against the First Amendment. This president.
No, they're not. No, they aren't. And Boris, thanks again for being a completely uneducated asshole. Because Twitter and Facebook and Snapchat and Pinterest, all as companies and the employees of those companies and the people who own those companies and the people who invest in those companies, have First Amendment rights. They don't have to carry anybody's shit. You get me? It is a violation of their First Amendment rights if and when they were forced to carry Trump's messages regardless. Sorry. There is no situation where if you and I decide, hey, we're going to start a new social media network, right? That's like, let's anybody, me, one of the fans out there, anybody who watches regularly, or anybody who, even the Trumpsters and maggots who are still dangling over there, even the deepest Q idiot who's watching right now because you got nowhere else to go. And thanks for being the cantaloupe and the fruit salad and filling out the meal. If you and I wanted to form a social network, there is no regulation on the books that goes, hey, welcome, thanks, you're starting Sparkster. And when you start Sparkster, you have to give the president of the United States a verified account to put out whatever he wants. Imagine the United States, imagine America, and imagine the Republicans in Congress and in the House and Senate and wherever, all throughout the country, reacting to the United States government insisting that if you start any kind of social media platform, that you have to give the president its own, like the presidency, its own unfiltered, direct line. It has to be a verified account you give them, and it can violate your terms of service no matter what they are. So if you have a no swearing policy, which obviously Sparkster wouldn't have, I mean, come on, get the fuck out of here. It clearly would. If you had, let's say there's a, ChristianMingle.com breaks off and decides to have its own, little personal gathering, Christian network. And Trump wants to write bullshit. And the government forced them to allow swear words on their platform because the verified account that they were forced to carry of the president sweared, and therefore they have to. Thank you, nurses in Cincinnati. I love you right back. My mom was a nurse in Cincinnati. That's why I was born at Christ Hospital in Cincinnati. There you go. So hello. Think about that. Are there any Republicans who can explain how they would be cool with a company, any company, being let's take it out of the realm of social media, because we have equal protection under the law. So if there's one law for one group of people, that has to apply to everything else. The president can text using your phone number. Anybody who gets a phone, let's not even make it personal. Let's just make it all business, like Twitter and Facebook. Any business phone you have, any business cell phone you have, the president can take over your phone and use it to text at any time. Think about that. That's what this asshole is arguing for right now. That's what he's arguing for. He is arguing that if you start a company, the president gets a piece, no matter who that president is. Are you insane? I don't even know how the Newsmax host, who's allegedly a conservative, isn't having an aneurysm and just falling off his chair right now.
This president has a huge following, as you mentioned.
Who gives a shit? The presidency is not a popularity contest. The president has a lot of followers, A, that are bots, and B, simply because he's the president, not because they support him. Ask any of the reporters who have to subscribe to his goddamn channel when he has one.
74 million people voted for him. His Twitter following was almost at 90 million. And for these companies to say, no, you cannot speak to these people who want to hear from the president is
They didn't say that. They did not say that. They didn't say you can't speak to these people who want to hear from you. You just got to find another way to do it. You can't do it here. I don't care if you want to shit on your own rug, but you don't get to come into my rug store and shit on all the ones I have here. You get how that works? At home, shit on the rug, Trump. Go ahead. Do whatever you want. No, I'm not a fan of cantaloupe. Thanks for asking. Seriously. What he's saying is Trump likes to take a shit on the carpet and then drag his ass across like a dog with worms. And he would like to do that in your rug store. And a lot of people love the president, and they think it's hilarious to watch him drag his ass across the floor. So you should let him do it in your rug store. I don't give a shit. Who gives a shit how popular you are? You don't get automatic entry into stuff. This is just arguing for royalty. That's what he's arguing for. This is screw democracy, even screw the idea of us as a republic. This guy is arguing, the president's attorney, he's one of the people who's going to be working with him on the impeachment, is arguing that the president is effectively royalty. I know it's really nasty, but that's as good an analogy as I could get with,
absolutely unacceptable. And we have to delve into whether they're legally allowed to silence the president.
They are legally allowed to shut down any account they want as long as that account voids its terms of service. They know the terms of service. He signed up. He clicked yes when he signed up on his goddamn account before he was president. You don't get to violate the terms of service just because you're president. They can put up with it because you're president, but they don't have to. This is so stupid. We're going to even look into the legality of whether or not, if you have a restaurant, the president can't come in, eat with his friends because they like the food here and he wants to be here for free and walk out without ever being told not to come back. Think about any analogy in any business where this makes any sense. This is the stupidest argument.
The president, a court ruled the president couldn't block people. So then how can these companies block the president?
Because there's a difference between the communications of the president, who is a public servant, operating in these places, and those people allowing him to operate while breaking the laws and the rules in their space. This is the exact same rules as like campaign finance. The president can't take dark money payments. He can't talk to a super PAC, even though they do, and there's all this back shit. If they get caught, they get in trouble. This guy's arguing that all super PAC rules should be thrown out as well. Because, since he can't talk to super PACs, nobody should be able to because he's royalty. This is all royalty. This is an argument for royalty.
From speaking to the people. The president is going to continue to reach out, to continue to speak directly to his followers, directly to the American people.
Followers.
And you've seen that even in the last few days with the video that you played, with the message and the statement that was.
He's the president. He put out a message from the Oval Office. Talk about a megaphone.
Put out yesterday. The president continues to speak and reach out and have a connection directly with the American people.
Okay, but
yes, follow my eyes. The president is reaching out to the people. Jesus
do you
Christ.
see? Because he can't do that on Twitter. I don't know if he's going to be allowed to. Do you see?
No, I do. Weird. I guess. Action figure from the 50s. It's businessman. Dun, 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 whoosh, with kung fu grip.
Do you?
I can tell you, he can't. He's not going to get back on you on Twitter. He's not. He's screwed. He's not going to go. He's a lifetime ban. He's not going to come back on Twitter. They're not going to have him. They don't have to have him. If he filed a lawsuit, too bad. He violated the terms of service. They can do that with anybody. It's their own company. We all know that. It's that, and by the way, that's how other social media networks get formed, because if they do that unfairly to too many people, somebody will create another one. And then, of course, they'll make Parler, and then all of his information, personal information, will get uploaded.
Do you see him doing more television interviews at this point? I just don't.
Do you think people want to do an interview with him?
Don't see him stepping out of this spotlight, stepping away from the microphone, if you will. Do you see him making the rounds on network TV?
No.
I think you're going to see the president on a wide variety of outlets and ways to reach the American.
Totally. Yeah, signal flares. You haven't laughed like when Trump uses an Aldous lamp.
People. I'm not going to speak to anything specifically, but Twitter and
He doesn't know anything. Right.
Twitter and Instagram and Facebook are not the only ways that the American people see their leaders, and President Trump continues to be one of the key leaders and the key leader for the Republican MAGA movement.
For the key leader for the Republican MAGA movement. Not the Republican Party, just the Republican MAGA movement. You know, he's slowly but surely getting a smaller and smaller slice of the pie.
Right. I appreciate your time. Always good to see you, Boris Epshteyn. Thank you so much.
Okay. There were a lot of lies in that segment. That was good. That's got to be the worst one. It's not always good to see Boris. And you're not fooling anyone. This is just stupid. Yeah. Okay, so I've already, we've already done 2 hours, but I'm feeling like a glutton for punishment because we got started with something so wonderful in terms of Trump's. Hold on, let me find something real quick. Is Biden coming out and actually being presidential and us all getting to enjoy it. Meanwhile, oh God. I don't understand. Oh, God, that's horrifying. What is that?
Tune to let everybody.
Oh, Jesus. These guys. They're live right now? This is okay. I'm not going to do a big chunk of this, but I just want to bring this up real quick. So we all have seen the Victory Channel, right? These folks are super Trump supporters, religious. They're the Trump Christians. Thank you, Nielsen. Appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. Ba-bing, la-da-da. And by the way, thank you, Christine FF, for gifting the subs. That was really lovely of you. That's incredible. Thank you. That these guys, I mean, they are up Trump's ass with a crucifix looking for sunlight. They're special. But they're live right now, and I would just, What do we think? What's the key word the MAGA movement likes to bandy around besides patriot? Of course, freedom, right? Freedom! F-R-E-E-D-U-M-B. And freedom's the most important thing. They disable their chats. Just saying. Yeah, just for the record. And is this live all the time? So it effectively started on December 1st, 2020. They've just been running 24 hours a day. Is that when they launched this ridiculous thing?
John Graves from millionvoices.org is with us. John, thank you for joining us. How's your day?
It's
this lunatic again.
great. I'm glad to be with you.
Earlier this morning,
I'm so tired of winning. I look pretty tired. I look tired of winning. I look tired. I mean, I don't need to, we don't need to see these assholes. I wanted to show you guys this because this is the funniest thing. Okay, so Mark Levin is on Hannity. These guys are trying so friggin' hard. So, thanks. I'm not going to run in 2024 for president. I won't run for office for president anyways until I've been a mayor and a governor first. What do you think? Mayor, governor, senator, president? I think that works. That's my 60s. I think if I plan that decade well, that's pretty solid, right? I don't know where Kirk Cameron is, but I wish we could find out. You guys have seen, oh shit. You guys have seen the Kirk Cameron banana video, right? Please tell me. Please tell me. Please tell me you know. And no dirty thoughts. It's Kirk Cameron, please. There it is. You literally. So this is here's the, how long is this? So Kirk Cameron, this is famously one of the videos that they showed to show that, really, you've never seen this? Oh my God. So Kirk Cameron, allegedly is a born again Christian. Again, I look at your behavior, not what you say when you tell me you're a Christian. And since he led a bunch of people out in an anti-mask rally, I'm going to go, that's the devil's work. So I'm going to, and the devil will come, as a wolf in sheep's clothing, that whole thing, right? So this is what got Kirk Cameron on everyone's radar as an uber Christian a while back. Thank you, Ninja Wolf. I love my hair as well. Thanks for saying so. So they're pushing back. This guy Ray Comfort is really, that's that guy's name. That's Ray Comfort. He has a well, you'll see. This is them explaining how evolution is bullshit. Just to get you.
I've since learned that when you really look at the evidence, the truth is it takes more faith to be an atheist than it does to believe in God. You've really got to ignore the facts. It's funny how we equate the word atheism with intellectual, when it's the exact opposite. That's right.
It's so weird, because an atheist would, they wouldn't be smart enough to sit in a high stool on a pink rug this close to a lake. An atheist would just sit over in the chairs that are right there on the water, with the water in the background. But we, as Christians of the highest order, have the decency to bring tall chairs out here for no fucking reason.
That's right. Kirk, I have an intellectually stimulating theory. It's my theory of where the
Well, I'll be the judge of that, Ray Comfort.
soda can may have come from. Billions of years ago, there was a big bang in space. Nobody knows what caused the big bang. It just happened. And from this bang issued this huge rock. On top of the rock was found a sweet, brown, bubbly substance. And over millions of years, aluminum crept up the side, formed itself in a can, then a lid, and then a tab. And then
This is his. The Coke can just evolved because the Big Bang made it so. Never mind the fact that Coke cans, which he's describing, evolved. I'll explain in a moment.
And then millions of years later, red paint, blue paint, white paint fell from the sky and formed itself into the words, 12 fluid ounces, do not litter. You're saying, what are you doing? You're insulting my intellect. And so I am. Because we know if the can is made, there must be a maker. If it's
Yeah, but we've seen the maker. Look, I'm not an atheist, okay? I am not. But this argument is intellectually insulting. And we know that cans evolved because we started drinking like this, and then we eventually had cups, and then they capped the cup, and then, see this can right here that he's actually holding? That's relatively new. You know how I know that's probably in the last, besides the 90s style on it? You know how I know that that's a post-1990 can? Is because during the 70s and 80s, pull tabs were still in existence, and people would pull them off, like the old beer cans, and then they put the tab inside and just drink it so they wouldn't be throwing them on the ground because they were sharp, especially if they're at the beach or someplace where people were walking around with bare feet. And a bunch of people choked to death. They were drinking their beers and they swallowed the fucking pull tab and died. So they made the new version doesn't create another piece of loose metal.
If it's designed, there must be a designer.
I love it. And by the way, if it's designed, then there must be a designer. And if there's a prop department, they must have put a piece of tape over the word Pepsi so that no one knows this is Pepsi. See the piece of black tape?
To believe the soda can happened by chance,
it didn't. No one believes that.
Is to move into an intellectual free zone. It's to have an echo when you think. It's to have brain liposuction. Hold this, Kirk. Behold the atheist's nightmare. Now, if you...
Oh boy.
Study a well-made banana, you'll find on the far side there are 3 ridges. On the close side, 2 ridges. If you get your hand ready to grip a banana, you'll find on the
Yeah, it's coming. Yeah, here it comes. You thought he wouldn't do it, but he's gonna. Oh boy.
far side there are 3 grooves, on the close side 2 grooves.
Sure.
The banana and the hand are perfectly made one for the other.
I think you know what we're talking about here, and I want you to know, Kirk, it's why I brought you out to the lake today.
You'll find the maker of the banana, Almighty God, has made it with a non-slip surface.
I don't know. If you get it lubed up, though, maybe.
It has outward indicators of inward contents: green, too early; yellow, just right; black, too late. Now, if you go to the top of the banana, you'll find, as with the soda can makers, they placed a tab at the top. So God has placed a tab at the top. When you pull the tab, the contents don't squirt in your face.
Yeah. No, it gets better. Even than this. You find when you pull the tab, the contents don't squirt in your face. I'm sorry, Australia. I apologize for even showing video of Ray Comfort.
You'll find the wrapper, which is biodegradable.
But why are you laughing, Kirk? Why is it so funny that the contents of this thing don't squirt in my face?
Has perforations. Notice how
Oh, it's going to get worse. It's coming. It's going to get worse.
gracefully it sits over the human hand.
It does sit gracefully over the human hand.
Notice it has a point at the top for ease of entry.
Ease of what? I'm sorry, what? It's what?
Notice how gracefully it sits over the human hand. Notice it has a point at the top for ease of entry. It's just the right shape for the human mouth. Notice it has a point at the top for ease of entry. It's just the right shape for the human mouth.
Anybody who's an atheist is intellectually inferior. If you can't understand this and you can't deal with this kind of an argument, I don't know who I'm talking to. Why did I even bring you down here to the fucking lake if you don't understand how a banana works, Kirk? Ease of entry.
It's chewy, easy to digest, and it's even curved toward the face to make the whole process so much easier. Seriously, Kirk, the whole...
It's curved towards the face. You might want to see a doctor about that. Yes, this is real. This is not this is not a spoof.
All of creation testifies to the genius of God's creative hand. It absolutely does. You see,
It absolutely does, especially the fact that modern bananas didn't start out that way. They started out looking vaguely potato-shaped, and they weren't sweet. They were round and brown. Like they didn't look anything like modern bananas. Humans, over time, cultivated the modern banana to slide right in your mouth and drape over your hand and go right in your face and not get any on your mustache. And they took out the whole thing where it squirted.
you think of the human eye. It has...
Yeah, if you, look at this beautiful, obviously superior blue eye. And the way God intended, not these dirty brown ones you see everywhere. But if you open this banana and you banana, I forgot, too quickly, you could get it right in that.
40,000 nerve endings and focusing muscles that move more than 100,000 times a day. The human eye has over 137 million light-sensitive cells. And even Charles Darwin himself said,
"To suppose that the eye could have been formed by natural selection seems, I freely confess, absurd in the highest degree."
Notice the difficulty with this word that he seems to have. Seems. Now, one would think, just venturing out on a limb here, that if your God was an extratemporal being that was around before... you can't even say God has lived a long time or has been in existence, because being extratemporal, it is beyond existence. All notions of existence are, in fact, temporal, if you want to get deeply philosophical about the whole thing. But you know that, millennia go by in a blink of the eye to God because it's been around, in its form in the void forever. So if it decides on a whim to start things up with, like that and start the Big Bang, billions of years ago, that's just how it works. And if it creates things over time, that idea forming in its head as its being, because it's so beyond temporal time, as it creates something in temporal time, sticks to the rules of that temporal space that it created. So it created the rules of that space the second it created that space. Or there wouldn't be any space because there would be no rules, and that's what defines space. So over, the 6 days, or the 7 days of the week, including the nap, that God created the heaven and the earth and all that other stuff, could be billions, if not trillions of years. Who cares? Because it's in God time. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't even know why they fight this argument. It seems dumb.
Highest degree.
So even the creator of the theory of evolution says it just goes.
Wait a goddamn minute. Did Kirk Cameron just call Charles Darwin the creator?
Against my common sense and logic. And so,
yeah, it does. Funny how that works. All right, so anyways, just so you know, that's where that shit came from. The banana video, I think we all have, seen plenty of that nonsense.
one
The
for
other
the
thing,
other. You'll find the maker of the banana, Almighty God, has made it with a non-slip surface.
just keep yanking on it. Anyways, so you have that in your brain pan now, and I'm sorry those of you that have seen it before for making you see it again, and those of you that have never seen it before, you can never escape. You missed the opportunity to escape this life not having seen a guy jerk a banana in front of Kirk Cameron in a lake. Yes. And again, I don't give a shit if Kirk Cameron's an absolutist as a Christian. Doesn't bother me at all. But the minute he takes a group of people out in the middle of a pandemic and has a mask-free event, he enters a whole new realm of asshole. Do you understand? Like, you notice how I haven't just gone and picked random Christians and made fun of them? You notice how it doesn't work that way? You notice how there has to be a secondary reason? That hypocrisy is the essence of this? That the absurdity of their beliefs in real life reflect poorly on their religious beliefs, and that's like Kayleigh McEnany. You understand how this works? To anybody who thinks I'm bashing people when they use the phrase you bash Trump or you're bashing Christians or whatever. No. I would argue that this is an indicator that Kirk Cameron is not a Christian, that his Christianity is hypocritical and fake. There you go. So just for the record, yeah. But anyway, so Mark Levin. So this was funny to me because I was looking for a clip. This is brand new, and then I'll let you guys go. I'm not going to do all this. It's only 8 minutes long, this one. I'll try and keep it tight. But Pat Robertson's actually more sensible than Kirk. That's the funny thing. Look at the title. I saw this, and I was like, I wonder if the audio's okay on this, so I play it for the first couple seconds.
Freedom of the press,
It starts with Mark Levin's book name. Unfreedom of the Press. Unfreedom of the Press? You okayed that title and they released that book? Did you just shrug it up? I don't give a shit. I don't care what it's called. Just get it out there. I need the money. What? Please, this is a book everybody needs to have. They need to have a book now. Freedom of the Press. Like that. Seriously. Unfreedom of the Press? You dolt. This, yeah. He can read good. He can reads good. Unfreedom of the Press. God damn it. This is so... I'm embarrassed for him, almost. This is... don't try to fix it. Don't try to go non-freedom of the press. Is there, honest to God, you could have called it The Press Ain't Free and gotten away with it, Mark Levin. You could have called it What Freedom of the Press, ? And that would have been a better title. Do you understand? You could have called it the Freedom of the Press and put a circle and a line through it. Jesus. Absolutely, Robin. I'm glad to help you. And I'm sorry that, in seeking to make you laugh at the political and philosophical world around you, that I had to show you a video of a grown man showing another grown man how to eat a banana by a lake. I'm sorry. I would love to have Mary Trump on my show. I don't have guests. I need to do that. I'm going to do that. Oh, Midas Touch is going to be on my radio show this weekend. The guys from Midas Touch. I don't know how many of them. There are 3/4, depending on who's running the podcast. And I have a couple of those guys on my radio show this weekend. So again, continuing to grow guests on the radio show part. So that's cool. That's nice. But let's just see. Like, I'm enjoying watching these guys flip the hell out. Because everything they said, look, I know I'm not always right, but I got a way better track record than any of these assholes. Any of them. Seriously, I will stand up my record of calling out shit and the legal stuff that I've talked about just as a layman. I will stand it up against anybody. Any guest that they have on who's a lawyer or a legal professor on MSNBC or these other things, the only place that I will truly diverge with them is essentially that Trump can't pardon himself, and that's a joke. Don't even talk about it.
That's the host of the number one show.
Oh, shut up. I'm not done talking to these lovely people, Hannity. None of that. There is no way that Trump can pardon himself. And it bugs me that even, they bring on legal scholars, and I know they want to gin up the drama of it, and it helps sell toilet paper, and I would be terrible about that. I'm not having Cenk and Anna on my show. Never. There are very few people in media less welcome. Seriously. Ick. You have to understand, I had the displeasure of hanging out with those folks backstage at Politicon. But I will stand up everything that I've said against any legal expert that's been on CNN or MSNBC or God knows on Fox. Because a lot of it, if you just pay attention, you can start to absorb parts of it. If I don't know the specifics of one thing, I go and look it up before I bring it to you guys. But for the record, Mark Levin and Sean Hannity and Tucker and all these idiots who've been telling us for the longest time how this is going to go, and Trump's, he's in a protected class and he's ninth level chess and all this bullshit.
Number one show, Life, Liberty, and Levin, right here on the Fox News channel. Of course, we call him the Great One. Mark.
Why would you do that? Why would you call him the Great One? Anyone called the Great One would not have a book called Unfreedom of the Press. Unfreedom of the Press?
This is your wheelhouse. You know the Constitution.
Yeah. Does he live in a wheelhouse? Really? He just lives in a little, I thought he lived in a shoe, Hannity.
You watch what happened today. Your thoughts?
Yeah, you fucked up. You were completely wrong. You were talking out of your ass. You sold everybody a bill of goods. You were telling everybody Trump had all these options he didn't have. You pretended to know shit you didn't know. Tell us how you feel about it all coming crashing down today.
Well, what we saw today is why the American people hate politics, hate Washington, and hate Congress.
Is that why they hate politics, Washington, and Congress? Why? What?
We also saw something else today. For the second time, there's been an unconstitutional impeachment of an innocent man.
Okay, first of all, impeachments are constitutional. If they go through the motions and they do all the regular order stuff, it's constitutional. He hasn't been expelled. It followed all the rules in the Constitution. Even just saying that is friggin' embarrassing. That's embarrassing. An unconstitutional, even that, think about, because you and I go, if somebody's saying something's unconstitutional, that's something like people, dipshits say in normal conversation pretending to know stuff they don't, right? This but the difference is he's saying this as the great one on Hannity, like he's an expert on shit. And so a bunch of Fox viewers are going to go, that was unconstitutional. How do you know? Well, the great one said it. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like him yelling it at the gas pump, in New Jersey on his way home after shooting. This is unconstitutional. And like, I just heard Mark Levin yelling it's unconstitutional at a gas pump. This is so stupid.
Donald Trump. This endless...
And by the way, describing Donald Trump as an innocent man is in of itself a next level pathetic.
This war against Donald Trump is really repulsive. And no...
Oh, a war against Donald Trump. Oh, that's what it was. Maybe all those people thought Trump was in the Capitol because Capitol means government and he's a government guy. So they were just charging up to the Capitol. And he said, I'm going to walk down there with you. And those people were they're like, oh, he's going to be at the Capitol. So therefore, if I storm the Capitol and hang someone, it might accidentally be him.
You cannot hold a trial against a private citizen or pursue a former president who's now a private citizen under the impeachment clause that was...
Yeah, you can. Yes, you can. Because it pertains to activities going forward. Because he has to be impeached before he can be denied the ability to run for office again. And if it's serious enough, that's necessary. What are you talking about? This is just stupid. Of course it's possible.
That was never intended. So that is just absurd. But that's the...
Yeah, neither was a 27-time sexual assaulting fake billionaire becoming president. That wasn't intended either. Okay, can I show you guys something? Real quick. We'll get back to what he's saying. Look down and look in the little corner of the frame. See this? That's not part of the Fox graphic. That's a little ceramic salt shaker or some shit that Mark Levin decided he wanted in a prominent position on his set, because this isn't his house. They give him a little corner to do this little piece at Fox News, and then he's got his other set for his own show. He used a little piece of it. But he insisted on having this little ceramic ridiculousness of Trump with his tiny hands and his giant orange head and his comb over and his American flag jacket. This dickhead has this as like his idea of decoration, and he insisted on bringing it in and putting it right there, not back here, not as part of this other stuff. No, here, bring it closer. I need it closer. I need to. It's not a bobblehead. It's like a sugar dispenser, a salt shaker, or a toothpick jar. It's one of those. Yeah, and the Belknap case proves that you can absolutely impeach someone after.
But that's the idiocy and the insanity that's now taking place on Capitol Hill.
Did you write down idiocy and insanity on a piece of paper and read it, Mark Levin, the great one? He's like, the idiocy and this is ridiculous.
Couple of things. Number one,
it has to be ridiculous and absurd because I said it couldn't happen and it did.
One, Gerald Nadler.
Take off your glasses real quick. The rest of us want to see the weirdly dark circles under your eyes. And
Gerald Nadler was leading the forces for impeachment again on the floor of the House, divvying out time like handing out lollipops. We heard...
I see. You mean in the time where Republicans and Democrats had the same amount of time, even though the Republicans are in the minority. So the minority got the same amount of time as the majority, but okay.
We heard no evidence whatsoever that the president incited anything, which I'll get to in a minute.
It was in the actual filed paperwork. The trial comes in. Look, this would be a lot easier for him to pull off if we hadn't been through this already. The trial happens in the Senate. The impeachment vote in the House is about the worth of the charge. The Senate carries out the trial. And then it goes back to the House if it has to. This is We saw this already. You can't tell us he was denied representation because we know that's not how it works. We just watched it.
But I want to remind people about Gerald Nadler and the Democrats
Okay, yeah, tell us all about Gerald Nadler. Let me
and
tell
a
you.
former president by the name of Clinton. On his
You mean the guy who was impeached over a consensual sex act?
last day in office, President Clinton acceded to Gerald Nadler's request to commute the sentences of both Linda Evans and Susan Rosenberg. Who were they?
Who are they? Who are they?
Evans arrested with 740 pounds of dynamite intended for, among other targets, the Capitol building, had 24 years left in her 40-year sentence when Clinton pardoned her at Gerald Nadler's request.
How old was she? Are we talking about a woman who was in the 70s, part of a revolutionary group that was trying to fight against the racist South and the fact that the black people didn't have rights, that kind of thing? Okay, did she have cancer? Right.
Rosenberg, arrested for weapons possession, had 42 years yet to serve on her 58-year sentence.
42 years on her 58-year sentence.
Now,
Okay.
it is a sick irony to watch Gerald Nadler stand there and everybody pat him on his rather substantial head.
Really? Really? You want to go there? Rather substantial head. First of all, you meant pat him on his rather substantial ass, because Nadler's heavy. That's what the joke was. But he backed away from saying ass because he's a weakling and a coward. And he said head. But his head, I mean, he looks like an egg with hair.
About him going forward with impeachment of an innocent man who didn't incite anything. So that
He incited a riot. And by the way, those women that were pardoned, it was a recommendation of like that their sentences be commuted. They looked into it. These women weren't a danger. Clinton didn't pardon them and then tell them that the election was stolen from Al Gore and they need to go to George W. Bush's house and stop the steal.
So that's number one. Number two, high crimes and misdemeanors. This is their report, ladies and gentlemen. It's 76 pages.
Mm-hmm. Right.
26 pages of which are an appendix.
Yeah, referencing video and referencing quotes.
To news articles, to essays, to speeches by former colleagues. There's not one sliver of evidence.
Why are you making white supremacists?
Of inciting an insurrection.
Yeah, there is.
Of any kind in this document. 50 pages, basically an op-ed. Historians are going to look at this and say,
Why did you ever elect that guy? He was obviously insane. Oh, no, they're not going to say that. What are they going to say?
What kind of a moron wrote a document like this? Has anybody read it? No.
Excuse me, they won't be speaking English by that time. We will be speaking in beeps.
Now, what else do we know?
What else do we know?
We know.
We know that your mic is on and Hannity is a friend.
Thanks, believe it or not, to the New York Times and the Washington Post, and they don't mean it, that there were preparations in advance of this rally, in advance of the president ever going to the mall and giving a speech.
Yeah. You mean somebody set up a stage? You mean there was actually plans? You know, he invited people. He said it's going to be wild.
To attack Capitol Hill.
There
were militia and others who were...
Right. Who were listening to the president's words and saying, stop the steal means go there and stop the steal.
Arming up to attack the Capitol building.
Right. And the president stood down the National Guard 2 days before. Why?
How do we know this?
We know this because they're doing an investigation.
We know it because the FBI knew it. We know it because the great NYPD knew it. A Virginia FBI office in Norfolk informed the Washington FBI and the Washington Department of Justice.
And they requested National Guard, and the president said no. Why?
They gave it out to the Terrorism Task Force. What do they do with this information? We don't know.
Yeah, we do know that the president didn't act on any of it.
We don't know it was before the president even spoke. We know.
If they didn't know before the president spoke, than they found out as it was happening.
The president wasn't informed.
Why is he yelling? You really want to know why he's yelling? He's yelling because he knows he's lying. And he thinks that exuberance and volume will make up for the bullshit.
Informed about it, so his Secret Service people weren't, and they sent him into this situation.
And because he was, and I will say this, there is another reason. There is another reason. He's yelling because he was wrong. He's yelling because the impeachment actually happened. The vote went through and Republicans voted for it. He's yelling because there's going to be Republicans in the Senate who vote to hold up the impeachment and guarantee that Trump can never run again. That's why. And he said it wouldn't happen, and it is. That's why he's yelling.
Situation without him knowing, but here's...
It's also because, would you listen to a word he said if he was speaking in a normal tone of voice?
Here's the deal. The former...
Here's the deal. Oh, I see. Now you're stealing your cribbing lines from Joe Biden? Who's the plagiarist now?
Head of the Capitol Police, who's been...
What? By the way, do you hang out in goth clubs at night?
...removed or resigned. He said he spoke with the Sergeant-at-Arms of the House and the Sergeant-at-Arms of the Senate, and he urged them, even before the crowd was there, to bring in the National Guard. What?
And who wouldn't let them come in? Who wrote a letter saying not to allow them? And who wouldn't make the call in the day? And why did Mike Pence ultimately have to be the person that okayed the National Guard on the 6th? Why, Mark Levin? Please tell us before your head hatches and we have to talk to the bird.
What did they do? They did nothing. Who does the Sergeant of Arms of the House of Representatives report to? The Speaker of the House. Who does...
Right, yeah. They request it. They don't get it.
The Sergeant of Arms of the U.S. Senate report to? Mitch McConnell at the time. What did the Sergeant of Arms in the House tell Pelosi? What did the Sergeant of Arms of the Senate tell McConnell? You want
to... I don't know. What was it, a dirty limerick?
I don't know why they're rushing this thing through. Because
they're rushing it through because Trump stops being president on Tuesday and he's a sociopath. And if they don't impeach him in a hurry, he might be able to do some really awful shit. They were literally trying to impeach him and get him out, get his hands off of the nukes because he clearly doesn't give a shit, because he fomented a rebellion, because people died.
Because the president didn't incite anything. I went
Well, then what are they worried about? Christ almighty.
Through his speech. I went through this phony...
Seriously, do they have anyone who works at Fox who isn't a part-time Muppet?
Article of impeachment. And by the way, no matter...
Yeah, by the way, yeah, skip outside the other...
How you cut it. We have a former federal prosecutor who did almost nothing but prosecute people who incited riots.
Yeah, and what did he write in his one-page summation? Let me guess, he agrees with you.
Jeffrey Scott Shapiro writing in the Wall Street Journal, no, Trump isn't guilty of incitement.
Okay, so in the Wall Street Journal. Okay, so mainstream media, you want to take mainstream media. So you're saying the media isn't all fake news right now or whatever. Who owns the Wall Street Journal? Does anybody...
Don't believe me. Everybody loves Turley and Dershowitz. They say exactly...
No one loves Dershowitz. And Turley's an asshole. It's ridiculous. Really, you're gonna pull Alan Dershowitz into this?
The same thing. Now there's...
Yeah, of course they are. You're talking about 4 Trump sycophants. Those 3 assholes and you.
Several kinds of tyranny in this country, or in any...
All right, everybody get ready. He's going to give us... There's several kinds of tyranny, all right? You think there's just one.
Country.
Get notes. Get ready to write it down. There will be a pop quiz.
We saw tyranny last Wednesday when there was armed individuals who attacked the Capitol building.
Yeah, in MAGA hats, right?
I was sitting next to my wife, Julie, and I said to her...
What? I was sitting next to my wife, Julie, and I said to her, your name's Julie, right?
Since when the hell...
Hi. Oh, thanks. Okay, food's here. All right, I'm almost done. Dinner came.
The Trump supporters have...
Sorry, Mark Levin, you have to take a back seat because my girl got dinner and she brought it, and I got to go eat before everything gets cold. But a couple more seconds.
Tear gas mask.
By the way, is that his fourth wife? Sorry. Did that jump ahead, or is it just their edit? Nope, that's their edit.
What else? Chuck Schumer wants to destroy the courts. Chuck Schumer wants what else?
Chuck Schumer wants to destroy the courts. You know how I know? I wrote it on this piece of paper. Listen to me, I'm already hungry. This piece of paper, right next to the piece of paper where I said annoying and stupid, and the other piece of paper that I have, that said, mention Alan Dershowitz.
Chuck Schumer wants to destroy the Senate. Chuck Schumer wants to destroy the Electoral College. Who's attacking the...
Wait a minute. How does he want to destroy the Senate? Because he wants to give Puerto Rico and D.C. and Guam senators. Puerto Rico, yes. The rest of them, no. And he wants to destroy the courts because he wants to, I don't know, put Biden's appointees on it?
Attacking the Constitution, I said. There's different types of tyranny.
What does Hannity do when this asshole's on? Does he just, pop a beer and sit back?
They're the nut jobs who are armed up, and then they're the people in suits and ties and well-dressed. They look
who get shot by the nut jobs who are armed up and get stomped to death by the nut jobs who are armed up, who are all sent. They're all sent by Trump to the same location.
Really good. They have perfume and cologne on, and they show up in Congress. We have a tyranny of the legislature.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a tyranny of the legislature. So, what is the Second Amendment for? Clearly, to protect yourself against the tyranny of the government. And he says, he just told you, we've got tyranny of the legislature. And these people are definitely trying to destroy the courts and destroy the Electoral College and destroy the Senate. So what are you going to let the Chinese destroy the Senate? No. So why would you let Chuck Schumer do it? Wouldn't your reaction be the same? I mean, basically, this asshole is like, Trump didn't foment a rebellion causing people to go kill people. I will.
The American people saw two tyrannies.
Hannity's eating a banana.
This week. One today.
Thanks. Now I have to steel wool my brain. Thanks.
In the House of Representatives, and one last week outside the Capitol building. One other thing.
So it's the same thing. The people who killed people and stomped them to death, that's the same tyranny as a legislative action. Same thing.
I don't want to hear any lecture from any leftist,
Well, I'm sorry, Mark, because I have a feeling from your tone, one's a-coming.
They're in the media, whether they're in politics,
whether they're well-dressed with long hair, sitting in an office in their house, just trying to spin some comedy for some people that are hanging on by their fingernails during the current unpleasantness, trying to make their life a little bit easier. Gleam. I have to get one of those effects.
Whether they're in entertainment or the corporate.
Thanks. I feel seen.
Boardrooms about violence. We conservatives, we
conservatives. Are you that small? That's why he sounds like that? Is he a we conservative? Is Mark Levin this big? Is that what I'm finding out?
Trump supporters have been announcing violence.
Wait. Hold on. We conservatives, we Trump supporters?
We conservatives, we Trump supporters, have been announcing violence from day one. You
have been announcing violence from day one. I beg your pardon again?
Conservatives, we Trump supporters, have been announcing violence from day one.
Well, there you have it. I don't know what more you need. There you go. This for the record, we've been announcing violence. Hi, stupid. I didn't want to lecture you. I've got dinner waiting. I need to go eat. But you're such an asshole that you literally speak like you write. The title of his book is now making sense. Listen to this idiocy.
We conservatives, we Trump supporters, have been announcing violence from day one. You
have been announcing violence from day one.
You sit there and you decide if you agree with the result. You sit there and decide if you agree with the name of the organization. You're giving millions of dollars to an anarchist, Marxist, violent group called Black Lives Matter. You're painting the roads with their name.
Terrible. It's terrible. You keep this up, you might start believing that Black Lives matter.
The Washington Post, even when it did this story on this pre-planning militia activity, it treated Antifa and Black Lives Matter really like they were the PTA for some school or something.
Yeah, that's the way they're taught. I think we all looked at, like, when I was watching the Portland stuff, I was like, what the fuck's up with the PTA up there? Sorry. Please continue announcing violence.
You either oppose violence or you don't.
And you don't. You just said you announce violence. The president said he can't denounce violence. He's supposed to say the word enough, and he left the word enough out. And all the Q people think that was code, which it probably was.
You either support the Constitution and you don't.
And you don't. You either support the Constitution and you don't. Everything you say is a lie, then what you said was a lie, and pss, pss, like, that's why we call him the Great One. Because where this guy, mwah! Mark Levin, ladies and gentlemen, wordsmith.
And the problem with the left is they cherry pick, which
that's been my problem for a long time. I picked a lot of cherries in my life. Hi there.
Means they support nothing that's principled and righteous. Remember?
Yeah, that's right. They support nothing that's principled and righteous. What? So the idea of Black Lives Matter is not principled and righteous. That's adorable.
Nancy Pelosi, the president sends in federal law enforcement to protect a courthouse in Portland. That's part of our government under attack for 100 days. She calls them stormtroopers.
They actually, the violence went up while they were there.
Her number 2 or 3, Clyburn, calls them stormtroopers. They talk about defunding the police.
Yeah, but putting the funds somewhere else to take certain jobs away from the police, that doesn't mean that there are fewer police. It means, all right, never mind. I mean, he's not, I mean, we've lost him.
They are systemically racist. You don't hear that now.
Yeah, you don't hear that they're systemically racist. It's all this equality talk is screwing it up.
They're not calling the police in Washington systemically racist. They're not calling the FBI systemically racist.
They're not? What I'm sorry, are they saving it for local cops who suffocate people like George Floyd largely? I'm sorry. Is that the case you're making, Mark Levin? That the FBI is systemically racist against what? Orange people?
They're not saying defund federal law enforcement. You don't hear Mattis saying don't send the troops in, don't use the Insurrection Act. Well, they say we should now. And we should.
What? Wait, we should use the Insurrection Act? What?
Don't send the troops in, don't use the Insurrection Act. Well, they say we should now. And we should. And we should have before.
Yeah, we should just use the Insurrection Act. Pretty much just use the insurrection. Yeah, I got to go eat. Love you. Thank you, Trevor, for bringing that up. I got to go eat. This is ridiculous.
Fact of the matter is, this country is torn apart. Why?
Because your network started it. Pretty much. Yeah. Because you're an asshole and you make these people think that the world is against them and that this is a violent, oppressive movement. When people work for Black Lives Matter or try to improve the lives of black people, that it is somehow that's an attack on the white viewers of Fox News, and that's the way you sell it. That's why they think that. Because of you, Mark Levin, the Great One.
Because they wouldn't accept the election of Donald Trump in 2016. And everything they've done to this country since has been to undermine him and undermine the people who support him.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi, why did you make Trump threaten the president of Ukraine like that after he'd gotten off from the Mueller report and with nothing? We got away with it. What?
That's it.
The Great One, Mark Levin, Life Liberty.
Yeah, that's it. The Great One. Why? It's a much better angle. He looks like David Cross after chemo in this one. This is a much better look. They shrunk his head though. If you'll notice that they brought it in on the sides. There's a lot of they did a lot of Photoshop here, a lot of contouring, which is very nice. All right, I'm gonna go eat. Love you guys. Have a great night. Take care of yourselves. Thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate all the support. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the support. Thank you, Christine FF, for gifting the subs, and Jack Noose. I don't know how to even and being all those fun. I appreciate it. Be well. And I will see you guys tomorrow at the regular time at 3 p.m. Pacific time. I'll be back on. Lord knows there's going to be more craziness. There's a bunch of stuff I didn't even get to. But largely because we all had the joy of watching Joe Biden actually be a president. It was lovely. Take care of yourself. Take care of somebody else. And Thursdays, as you know, is my day for family FaceTime. It's why the show is later on Thursdays. And I would like to recommend, as things get darker right now, there's not a single metropolitan area in the United States that isn't going through a surge. Please, for God's sake, reach out via FaceTime to a relative that you don't normally see. Just do that if you can. It will do them a world of good. It'll do you a world of good. We need to build as many bridges and make people remember that they're included for these just next few months. Because if we can get through the next 3 to 4 months, the world will turn around in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of positive things to live for. And people need to have, not just get through it, but have the vigor to start making some plans. Because as soon as the gates open, we should all be ready to go to be the best version of ourselves amongst our fellow human beings. So thank you guys so much. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye. See you later.